spring training, and the early work continues. Pedro Alvarez is fitting in with his new teammates like Adam Jones. The work continues with the focus on opening day, which is on April 4th in Baltimore. It's the O's and Pirates coming up next on Masson. It's the Orioles on Masson at Ed Smith Stadium in Sarasota. The Orioles welcome in the Pittsburgh Pirates. And hi, everyone. I'm Jim Hunter. As the Orioles continue their spring training work here in Sarasota, there is a lot of focus on the eventual rotation. There is a battle for those 5 precious rotation spots, but one pitcher that is expected, and the Orioles are hoping to take the next step, is Kevin Gausman. He should break camp in the rotation for the first time in his career, and the sky is the limit for this right-hander. You look at his career as a starter, in 2013, just 5 starts. Well, look at 2014. All 20 of his appearances were starts and a stellar ERA at 3.57. And Mike Bordick, when you look at Kevin Gausman, first-round pick in 2012, he came here with that label, the Prince of Potential. Looks like he's about to realize it.
Yeah, I think so. I think Kevin's poised for success this year. You know, he has paid his dues. He has been up and down. He's riding that train from the big leagues to the minor leagues. He's been used in the bullpen. He's been used as a starter. So he's experienced a lot at a young age. So he comes into camp. He's relaxed. He knows what to do on the mound now. He's picked the brains of Darren O'Day, all the starters in the rotation, and he's starting to utilize his fastball a little bit better. At the start of spring training, he is locating his fastball as well as we've seen, better than anybody in camp right now, and he's starting to elevate it. And it's kind of exciting to see him work the top of the strike zone, much like Darren O'Day, and that could be a big pitch for him. I mean, he has a lot of weapons, but to use another part of the strike zone for his success, I think, is going to be big. Play big for his game.
And what's encouraging for the Orioles, as this camp began, they were hoping he would take the next step, and here in the camp, he's been their best pitcher.
Yeah, he has unbelievable focus. Now, there is a group of guys that are walking around here like they've been through so much that they are ready to take off. Chris Davis has unbelievable focus. Of course, he had a big payday, but Kevin Gausman, one of the pitchers, you just see him do his work. You know, he is a guy now. He's been through so much. He's learned so much. He's had success, not a lot of success, but enough to where he knows that's where he wants to be and needs to be. His arm's too good. The kid's going to be a good one, and we hope, the Orioles hope, that he's going to be the guy that steps up and really leads the rotation through.
And it wasn't as if the Orioles just said, hey, you're number 1 pick, here's the job. He had to come out and earn this job.
Well, he did. I mean, that's what the last few years have been about. He's got to prove himself. He's got to prove that he can make the adjustments night in and night out. If he has a start and it's a bad start, next start, he's going to be evaluated again. I mean, everybody is under a microscope here at the major league level. If you have inconsistencies, they're going to send you back down to work on that stuff. Well, fortunately for Kevin, they went the old school route. I think sliding him to the bullpen was huge for him. You find some tricks. You pick the minds of these guys that come in bases loaded jams. How do you get out of those type of situations? And I think this is the stuff that he is going to be able to reach back and pull for the rest of his career.
And it's healthy that the Orioles do have competition in this camp for those 5 precious spots. Dan Duquette always talks about depth. He has it this year, and it looks like it really is an open competition for the 5 spots.
I think so. I mean, there are some shoe-ins for sure, but there are some young pitchers that are showing how competitive they are. And really, that's what it's all about. Come to spring training, you try to earn a spot. Even if you don't make it, you know, you open Buck Showalter's eyes, and you will be one of the guys who will be called up soon. You know, Tyler Wilson's having a great swing, but Kevin Gausman, he's legit right now, and he's about ready to burst onto the big league scene.
All right, so today it's Kevin Gausman on the mound as the Orioles welcome in the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Bird is in town. We're coming back. Lineups at first pitch are next. Orioles baseball on Masson is brought to you by Sarasota. There's so much to see and do on the beaches and islands of Sarasota on Florida's Gulf Coast. Go beyond the stadium to Siesta Beach, named winner of the 2015 TripAdvisor Traveler's Choice Awards for beaches. Plan now at visitsarasota.org. And it's definitely a beach day here today as the Orioles welcome in the Pirates. Pirates made the short drive down from Bradenton. And here's their starting lineup for today. John Jaso in the leadoff spot, then Francisco Cervelli, Andrew McCutchen. Starling Marte is in left field. He's off to a real good start for the Pirates in the spring. Polanco's in right, then Harrison, Figueroa, Mercer, and Juan Nicasio, the pitcher, will pitch and bat ninth.
And let's take a look at the scouting report for Kevin Gausman this afternoon. Yeah, we talked about it in the open. Poised for success. He has ridden that train up and down from the big leagues to the minor leagues. Bullpen activity, starting starts. So, Kevin Gausman is ready to go. Big arm, fastball, mid-90s. Working on the breaking ball and, of course, the change. He has a straight change and a split finger, but elevation a key. He's going to be riding that fastball to the top of the strike zone and look for some pop fly easy outs, and obviously throwing the secondary pitches for strikes. Big for Kevin Gausman. He can start hitters off with a breaking ball or the change. Get them thinking, and then that fastball becomes more effective. You see his numbers from last season. Opponents hitting overall .251, but a big-time arm and big-time composure on the hill right now. A lot of confidence coming out of Kevin Gausman.
Kevin making just his second official spring start. The reason for that is last Thursday he pitched in a B game on the back field here, the Camden Yards replica field, against Pittsburgh Pirate minor leaguers, and he pitched 3 scoreless innings. So this is his first start in a spring game officially, an A game, since March the 5th when he pitched 2 scoreless innings against Tampa Bay. Here's John Jaso leading off, first year with the Pirates. Last year the Orioles saw him with Tampa Bay and trying a new position this year at first base.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Pirates had some few new additions to their ball club. Jaso obviously being one of them, and Orioles picking up Pedro Alvarez, who last year played first base for the Pirates. Jaso's never played first base. Everybody knows him as a consistent hitter, on base percentage guy. Well, the Bucks think he can play some defense and help this team offensively. Career on base percentage is up over 360, right around 360.
Jaso late on that fastball by Gausman, who quickly gets ahead 0-2. And upstairs with the fastball. Well, one thing about Gausman, Mike, and you alluded to how the Orioles brought him along, and now they're ready to, as Buck likes to say, take the reins off. He's had a lot of success within the division. Here's the 1-2, and a ball hit the center field for Adam Jones. Almost right in his tracks, and one away.
Well, let's take a look at the Orioles defense behind Kevin Gausman this afternoon. Kim Jones and Trumbo in the O's outfield. Hardy and Scope, the double play combination with Machado and Davis on the corners. Caleb Joseph doing the catching. Of course, Matt Wieters went down with a strained elbow. He's rehabbing back and seems to be in good spirits right now.
Here's Francisco Cervelli, now in his second season with the Pirates after being traded by the Yankees to Pittsburgh. He was the Pirates opening day catcher a year ago. Kevin misses down and away, but the thing about Kevin Gausman, he has 14 career wins, and 9 are within the division. And when you think about all the games the Orioles play against AL East competition, for whatever reason, he thrives within the division.
Yeah, it seems like Buck Showalter has a way of finding those pitchers. And if you can't pitch against American League East, well, you're in for some trouble.
Well, the Orioles in the spring, Mike, unusual spring. In first innings in the 16 spring games, the starters have given up 26 earned runs. Look at that ERA. In all the other innings, the ERA is less than half of that. But this is the thing that is really mind-boggling. 16 games, only 4 scoreless first innings in those 16 games. One of those owned by Kevin Gausman.
Right. It is pretty interesting, but, we say time and time again, this is spring training. Nothing really matters. Well, when the pitchers go against an offense, especially early in spring training, you're going to get your front line offense at the top of the order. So starting pitchers are going to see the best hitters. They're not going to be facing, the B team in the middle or late in the game. So the starters will get their first at bat. So that's my excuse for the elevated earned run average. Then they got to face the best hitters during the season. But early on in spring training, most pitchers are working on their fastball command, trying to get ahead. Many hitters ambush, and we've seen a lot of that in the early going, especially the first inning for the Orioles.
And McCutchen got ahead 2-0 and a base hit up the middle. So the first hitter that Kevin falls behind gets on with a 2-out base hit. He was right on that pitch.
Well, McCutchen is the anchor to this team. He is their star player. He plays hard every year, perennial all-star. And they built this team around him. This Pittsburgh outfield is really the nucleus of this team, led by McCutchen and Marte and, of course, Blanco. They're the superstars. But this is a good one. Definitely Andrew McCutchen, one of the better players in all of Major League Baseball.
There is Starling Marte, now 27 years old, and as we showed you, he is off to a big start in the spring. 8 hits and 16 at-bats, including a triple and a home run. Of course, the Pirates, with Clint Hurdle, their manager, they've had 3 consecutive winning seasons and 3 consecutive playoff appearances, all of those as a wild card team. They won the wild card in 2013, but then lost in the division round to the Cardinals. In the last 2 years, they hosted the wild card game only to lose. Breaking ball bends in there for a strike, 1-1.
Nice pitch right there from Kevin Gausman, and we've seen that this spring as well. The ability to throw that breaking ball for a strike early in the count, get ahead, and then go to work with the fastball. Now, not many pitchers in Major League Baseball that have a fastball as their out pitch, and Kevin Gausman has a great split finger as well, but he has the ability to pop that fastball up in the high 90s, and he is fearless when it comes to pitching inside. So he may set guys up looking away with a firm fastball and then pop one 98 under the armpits, get their attention pretty good.
Now, if you're a hitter and you know he has 98, that's what you have to look for.
Absolutely, and that's why the breaking ball comes into play so well, and the straight change that Kevin Gausman possesses. He can continue to have the good arm speed and sell the changeup, the straight change as it comes out of his hand, looking like the four-seam fastball.
Line right to Machado. Manny just to his left, plucks it out of the air, and the inning ends. A base hit, none left. Led to the bottom of the first. Here come the Birds. Well, another big crowd at Ed Smith Stadium in Sarasota. Fans love watching the Orioles here. As the Birds take on the Pirates, here's the Orioles lineup for today. Machado, Alvarez, and Jones with Davis in that cleanup spot. And Trumbo, Kim, and Hardy. Jonathan Scope in the number 8 spot. 12 for 29. Those 12 base hits leads the Orioles in the spring. And Caleb Joseph catching and batting ninth.
And here's a scouting report for Juan Nicasio. He's very versatile now. Signed with the Rockies. They tried him as a starting pitcher, moved him out to the bullpen. Last year, his best success with the Dodgers, just almost 60 innings, only allowing 1 home run. So limits the long ball, keeps it in the park, but a big arm. Fastball up in the mid-90s, power slider and change to go along with it. Impressive numbers last season. But it looks like right now he's going to get stretched out as a potential fifth starter or spot starter during the season.
Manny, first ball swinging, fouls it back. See Manny's number from a year ago, 35 home runs as he had the breakout power year. He has a couple of home runs so far this spring, 7 base hits total. And a strike at the knees, and it's 0-2.
And he's having a good spring, using the whole field. A couple home runs already here in spring training. Talk about a poised young player. Manny Machado's been through a lot already. A couple Gold Gloves, some postseason appearances.
And a 3-pitch strikeout as he can't reach it outside, so 1 away on the K.
Pretty good slider right here, almost acting like a cutter, 86 miles an hour. It holds its head on the outside corner and then just disappears. Great late action on the slider from Nicasio. Machado, half-hearted swing there. That fooled on that pitch.
And here is Pedro Alvarez, the former Pirate, who's taking on his former team today. There is numbers last year with Pittsburgh. And shows bunt with the shift deployed.
Here we go. Many Orioles hitters will see this big shift. Alvarez certainly one of them. Big-time power hitter. Davis, of course. And we have seen the Orioles hitters show that bunt. Matt Wieters actually laid down a bunt the other day for a knock. Alvarez is going to say, hey, I'm going to force you to move your infield around. Now, not only will it suck the infield around a little bit, bring the third baseman in if they bite on the bunt, it'll give Alvarez more opportunities to find holes.
Pedro batting second in the lineup today because Buck wants him to get more at-bats. There's a bunt, but he hit it right back to the pitcher. And that's what they're working on. If it's there for you, why not take it? He just didn't get it to the other side of the mound.
Now let's take a look at the Pirates defense. Marte, McCutchen, and Polanco. And the Bucks outfield, Mercer and Harrison. Double play combination. Figueroa really opening up some eyes here in spring training. And Jaso at first base. Cervelli behind the plate.
Here's Adam Jones. Adam in the number 3 spot. Has 5 hits in the spring, 2 of those for home runs. The Orioles today are playing their 18th spring game, and tomorrow they have 2 games. They have a split squad day tomorrow.
Now they've had a rough start here travel-wise in spring training. The trips down to Fort Myers. Not many days where the team has been able to stay together for multiple days. Makes it tough on Buck Showalter. And you talk about chemistry. It may take a little longer for the Orioles until they do make more cuts and the team makes road trips together.
Adams swings through it. 1-2 the count. Well, and this morning, because the team was home, Buck Showalter had the team out on the field early working on drills in the field. And what they were working on today was with a runner at second who breaks for third on a ground ball put in play, how do you defend it? And they simulated all kinds of circumstances and worked on that because it will come up during the season. As Buck pointed out, the Blue Jays love that play and the Rays love that play. They love to break to third and force you to make a play.
Absolutely. Well, there are so many fundamentals or plays, situations that come up in a ball game that Buck Showalter has to check off his list in spring training. He and Bobby Dickerson and Wayne Kirby, they get together, they talk about every situation in the game, and they try to review them from as simple as making a backhand play or a forehand play. They do Texas League or pop-ups. They do line drives, you know, and certain situations with runners on base. The obvious with bunting situation or cutoffs and relays. But a lot of the situations, you know, if a player isn't used to seeing that or hasn't refamiliarized himself, they could get burnt early on in the year. I remember Bobby Dickerson told me a story of Ryan Sandberg.
And Adam Jones down on strike, so a real good start for Juan Nicasio. 3 up and 3 down. Wayne Kirby, the O's first base coach and outfield coach, will visit with Wayne when we come back. Well, another perfect day for baseball in Sarasota. No score as we go to the second, and joined now by Wayne Kirby from the Orioles dugout, the first base coach, the outfield coach, the base running coach. Any other duties this year they throw on him?
The mind coach.
How does that work? Are they receptive to your suggestions?
Clear their minds, and the rest will follow.
Now let's talk about Mark Trumbo in right field. With Pedro Alvarez here now, Mark's going to get a lot of time out there. I know you've been working hard with him. He looks pretty good. He looks natural out there.
Yeah, man. Once we signed Pedro, I told Mark, coming from Buck, that we had to move forward a lot quicker. And we started working at 60 feet on the backfields. And when you're working at 60 feet, I can see the movement I need to see for him to apply it during the game.
So another spring training, Wayne, where a lot of outfielders have come into camp, and some have been added to the outfield. Christian Walker has moved out there, and you're getting Kim is in left field today. You've had a lot of work to do. How are you able to balance all this out? And do you just try to use a player as an example, or do you take them out there?
Well, number one, when we're on the road, I usually do some footwork with them after they finish throwing on the road, and give them about 10 to 15 reps of that. Just simple drills on angles, going back on the ball, and try not to make it complicated. And then when we're home, I usually take Mark and Walker on the backfield, and we work for about 15 to 20 minutes just at 60 feet again, and just intensify the movements.
Now, when you say 60 feet, so you're 60 feet away from them?
Yes.
Okay, and you're hitting balls?
No, I got a machine working them. We got the Ponza machine out in the back, and they're just reacting.
So that helps them react in game situations because of the fact that the ball's so close to them.
Right. I need fast movements in the outfield. And, I mean, we don't need standing up. When the ball is hit, don't need standing up. You got to get to a running position. It's almost like a drop-step read. The drop-step has got to be quick, and you have to read either going in or going back.
Do you find that outfielders hate spring training because of the sun and the wind every day?
Oh, yeah, I'm constantly reminding them, hey, back up, back up, back up. And all of a sudden, they see the wind shift, and they don't realize the wind and shift. And all of a sudden, they're in a position where they can't go back on the ball. So my motto is, if you can't go back on the ball as good as, say like an Adam, then play a little deeper and come in. Everyone's speed is totally different. Everyone's jumps is totally different. You got to get comfortable out there at your position.
Sometimes, is it hard for you to gauge what you're seeing because of those conditions you described in particular? There's always glare down here because of the sun.
No, I'm constantly watching, and if I see them creeping in, I'll move them back. I don't take my eyes off these guys. I can't.
Wayne, how intense do you push your team in spring training when it comes to the base running aspect? Because you have so many great hitters, but it seems like base running has always been a little bit of a bugaboo, I guess, for lack of a better word, with the Orioles.
Well, the main focus from my aspect and the team's aspect this year is better secondary leads. I mean, just better secondaries. If you get better secondaries that are when you take nice short secondaries, you can react a lot better. When you take big secondaries, you tend to stop and then restart it. So we've been working on that a lot. We moved the runners at second base a little deeper, so their angles toward coming into third base is a lot better. Guys that hit doubles, I want them to pretty much run on a straight line, never touch the grass, and because those guys, when they get going, the speed increases. So I'd rather them to get to the bags. It's almost like a guy running down first base in 4-5. If he takes the turn, it's going to be like 4-7. So we're trying to cut that down. We're trying to cut times down so they can finish it on the back end.
Polanco on the 10th pitch of that at-bat flies out to Mark Trumbo. Right on cue, comes in and makes a play. Wayne Kirby will like that. And Wayne, the team has stolen 11 bases in the first 16 games. Should we read anything into that, or is this going to be more of a running team this year?
It depends. We're going to take what the teams give us. A lot of teams have been known to go to home plate under 1-3, 1-4. if the guys can run, can steal, they'll steal. If they're going to mess around and give us 1-5 and 1-6, we'll take what they give us.
Absolutely. We talk about all the weapons that this team possesses, and obviously it is not a stolen base type of team, but probably more importantly, just the ability to take the extra base, maybe first and third, or score from second base.
Exactly, Mike. I totally agree with you, and that's come from reading the ball off the bat and trusting what you have. I mean, if I see an outfielder going to the left, it's going to be hard for him to throw me out at third. And it's just baseball instinct, not being afraid to be getting thrown out.
So this may not be a base stealing team, but you want to be an aggressive base running team.
We want to be a smart baseball team, because I can tell you right now, Adam Jones can steal a lot of bases, but the bottom line is, if Chris Davis hot, why would you steal him?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Have some court awareness, right?
Yeah, you got. I mean, if Adam's running good and all of a sudden he gets thrown out and Chris Davis, the next ball hit a home run, we don't lost out like that. We don't want that. That's giving out an out. We don't want to give out an out. We'll let Chris do what he got to do with them putting his shift on and his power to hit the ball. If he hit a double, Adam's going to score. So if Chris is up, Adam's on first, he's in scoring position, basically.
Josh Harrison reaches on the air. It looked like the ball hit the lip of the grass. Took a funny hop on Manny. So a one-out base runner. Here's Cole Figueroa. And Gausman misses outside. Well, the team really has had some players here in the camp look really good. And in particular, Jonathan Scope, who really... He seems comfortable, Wayne, and it seems like he knows he belongs now. He's not trying to impress. He's just trying to get ready.
Yeah, I totally agree. These guys have been through it a year, 2 years, 3 years. They understand. It almost looks like our camp is stale, but it's not, because they understand what they have to do. They do it, and then it's done. There's not a lot of explaining. We touch up on a little bit, but the main thing is maintaining the way we play, maintaining your health, and just go out and play ball and have fun.
Now, you're here for the entire spring training, obviously, as one of the coaches. How different is spring training now in 2016 than when you were a player back in your day?
Wool uniforms?
Wool uniforms.
Sorry,
whoa. Well, put it this way. After this game, we'd be running bases, I can tell you that. Boy, no.
Wouldn't have food either.
No, wouldn't have no food. And let's see, infield, after they finished batting practice, yeah, we had no time to do nothing when we played. And it was running in your spikes after the game was a lot.
Swinging strike three for Cole Figueroa. And 2 away here. So when do you get to the point where you start to sense with the players that they're done with this, they want to go play games that count?
Well, you know what? For me, you got to go through a spring training. Maybe it could be shorter, maybe not. But the bottom line is getting your body ready to go for the long haul. It's 162 games, and guys that say, "Well, I'm done with this, I'm ready," and all of a sudden July comes, and them legs are heavy, then they'll wish they had that extra time to build up to it. I think it's a building process. You agree, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be careful. You don't want to get out of the gate too fast. You don't want to go too aggressive in spring training, and that's why veteran players, you can kind of relax a little bit. You know they're going to get their work done the right way. Some guys, though, that come into camp, they're trying to make a team, so their hair's on fire a little bit.
Well, I mean, I always start, if you had a good workout session during the whole offseason and you did what you needed to do, when spring training comes, I was ready to go, because I knew I was trying to compete for a spot, and it won't no dead moment in that. I don't remember having a dead moment, because I was always competing.
1-1 on Jody Mercer. And the pitch in the dirt. Well, Wayne, we appreciate the visit. Some great insight there. And keep it up with Trumbo. Whatever you're doing, it's working. He looks really good out there.
Oh, boy. That's a lot of work. We got 162 games. Come on, Trump. It don't stop here, though. It continues throughout the whole season. He's going to continue to get his work until I see that he's totally comfortable. I mean, ground balls and everything.
Tell you what, I love his arm.
Oh, you got a good arm. Don't tell everybody about it, man.
All right, Wayne, appreciate the visit. Continued success.
All right, thank you. Get it, boy.
Out base attempt, and out at second base is Josh Harrison. So Caleb Joseph guns him down, and the inning ends. So Gausman, after that 10-pitch at-bat to Polanco, faces 3 batters. Mid-second in Sarasota, no score. Well, the excitement is building now for the upcoming season. Time to get on board is right now. Become an Orioles full or partial season plan member today and start enjoying exclusive orange carpet benefits, including huge savings over the cost of single game tickets. You get postseason ticket priority, MLB's most flexible exchange policy, and access to the hottest ticket in Birdland. Of course, Orioles opening day. For all the details, go online, Orioles.com/season today. Showalter on the bench. There's Mark Quinn, the new assistant hitting coach, next to him.
Buck's got to be happy with Kevin Gausman. First couple innings, nice job. Even Caleb Joseph. Well, Buck's been happy with Caleb Joseph, what he's done in the absence of Matt Wieters, but now with Wieters on the shelf again, obviously Caleb best to step up. Beautiful block and then a nice throw out of Harrison in that last inning.
Davis, Trumbo, and Kim for the O's against Nicasio, who had a 3-up, 3-down first and struck out a pair. Chris has 3 hits in the spring, including a home run, and he homered in his very first spring at-bat. Playing in his 9th game. He's hit by a pitch. He's only seen the gray pants once, and he requested to go on the road because he needed more at-bats. As that one rides up and in on him.
Nicasio trying to back Davis off the plate with the fastball. And Davis taking it like a man. Not even a flinch there. Right off the elbow pad. Get on first base. Nice to see him smiling about it. Or maybe he's asking Jason where he got that hair. I don't know.
Mark Trumbo's having a good spring. He's got 8 base hits, including a home run. He's going to add a lot of power to this lineup this year. And Camden Yards is a perfect ballpark for his swing. And in fact, the Orioles could make a run, Mike, of most players to have at least 30 home runs in a season. The club record is 2. And you could argue, if you include Matt Wieters, who's never hit 30 in a year, or Scope, who's only hit 16, but he certainly has power potential, there are 8 possibilities, but here are the combos over the 8 seasons, and amazingly 4 of them have happened since 2011.
Yeah, well, Chris Davis crushed Davis on the list, of course, but Machado, a huge year last season with 35. Adam Jones, Mr. Consistency there with 33 and 32. Mark Reynolds and J.J. Hardy got up into that mix as well. And the big-time power hitters of the past, Anderson, Palmeiro, Sheets, Murray, all the legends on the list there. Really surprising that there haven't been 3 30-home run guys for the Orioles. But as you mentioned, this lineup is full of boppers. Great opportunity here.
Well, the major league record is 4 players in a season. And here are the most 30 home run seasons in history. Of course, the Hall of Famer Eddie Murray leading with 5. But Chris Davis already has 3. And it was Gus Triandos back in 1958, the 5th year for the Orioles in Baltimore. He had the first 30 home run season. You have to put together a special year to hit 30 out. So the major league record is 4 players with 30, and the Orioles record is 2. And if things go as you expect, they could make a run at both this year as Trumbo is caught looking for the first down.
I may be thinking of an off-speed pitch here, but Castio says, how about the cheese at the knees, 95. People might think that one's a little bit down, but a great pitcher's pitch. Record that first out.
Here's Hyun-Soo Kim, who's playing in left field today. He is trying to find that stroke. He is 3 for 31 in camp without an extra base hit.
Well, Kim kind of epitomizes what baseball is all about. Just more mental than anything. Because he's a proven hitter, and I don't care what level you play at. If you can hit in Double-A, you know, you should be able to put some good bats together at the major league level. He's not familiar with the pitchers. He's not familiar with the culture at all. He's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and all he wants to do is do good things. So he's up there trying maybe a little bit harder, and you hear that expression, try less, you know, but it's easier said than done, obviously. He has a nice swing, and you can tell it's going to play eventually, but right now it's a matter of catching up to the cheese. A lot of fastballs have beaten him. I think that Korean League, the average fastball is under 90 miles an hour, and here at the major league level last year was closer to 93 miles an hour. So a lot of big arms, and you just have to get your timing down. Have a good swing. Should be able to put the ball in play and pick up some knocks.
And he has admitted that he is pressing because he's trying to impress everybody in his first camp. Left field is certainly one of those positions that at the moment is not decided. You have the possible rotation questions. A couple of spots at the back end of the bullpen in left field. And if Matt Wieters isn't back, Caleb slides into number 1.
Well, I know the way the Orioles started to make their turnaround after going on this nice 4-year run of winning seasons is competition. In-house competition. Calling guys up for the minor leagues. Hey, listen, I'm on your tails. You're not just going to, you know, walk through this at the major league level. Somebody's trying to take your job. So Buck and Dan Duquette, that's really their goal. They want guys to understand that just because you played in the major leagues last year doesn't mean that you're guaranteed a spot. There are other people that are coming up, and if they've prepared themselves better and Buck and Dan feel like they can take the field and be more consistent, you know, that's really what it's all about. Sure, you compete and try to win the World Series, but in-house competition might be better than any other as far as getting the most out of each individual player.
And the news on Matt Wieters' elbow is favorable. The Orioles got the MRI as a precaution, and Dr. Jacobs and his staff felt that no structural damage, and they sent the MRI to Dr. Andrews, who performed the surgery on Matt, and Dr. Andrews concurred. So no structural damage as the ball hit towards the middle in the shift fielded by Mercer, and out at second base as somehow Harrison got his foot in there ahead of Chris Davis. So Kim loses a base hit into the shift, and 2 men are down.
Kim getting a hit taken away. That doesn't help for the mental anguish. His chopper up the middle, but Mercer in the shift played perfectly. Harrison back over at second base. As last year, he was a third baseman. Mercer known for the big-time glove. Nice play ranging up the middle. Good heads-up awareness there by Harrison to cut back across and get that force. The lead runner, that's what infielders look for. Try to keep the double play in order and keep a guy out of scoring position. That situation there. Keeping Davis off second base could mean keeping zeros on the board.
J.J. Hardy takes a strike. Well, Josh Harrison has been the do-it-all player for the Pirates the last few years, but now that they've traded Neil Walker to the Mets, he slides in as the everyday second baseman. He can play third, as Mike said. He can play the outfield. Kim Chase back to first. Nicasio's now 29 years old. He has 22 big league wins. And he has split his time almost exactly between starting in the bullpen. Clint Hurdle, his manager's given him a look as a starter. Off the end of the bat, that'll be back out of play. And a souvenir to the fan in this big crowd.
Well, everybody would love to have a big arm be able to slot it into the starting rotation. Nicasio hasn't really been able to find that rhythm as a starter. And every organization he's been with, the Rockies, the Dodgers, have actually taken a look at him in the starting role, but it hasn't panned out too well. Dodgers last season, they said, okay, we're just going to keep you in the bullpen. He had his best season ever. He gave up 1 home run in 60 innings of work. A very respectable earned run average. And, you know, they think that this arm can play, obviously, more as a reliever. But the fact that the Pirates, there's still some question marks in their rotation, they need to find out what they have. Nicasio could be the guy.
Well, J.J. fooled by the pitch, strikes out. The hit batsman and man left through 2 in Sarasota. No score. Well, don't forget, all kids 14 and under can join the Junior Orioles Dugout Club and enjoy a new lineup of excitement. Membership options now include your choice of 2 6-game packages filled with exclusive benefits like game tickets, a club hat, sunglasses. You get a messenger bag and more. And as always, friends and family can purchase additional tickets to Dugout Club games for as little as $6, and lower-level seating operations are available. So enjoy Birdland's best value in family entertainment, Orioles.com/Dugout Club or 888-848-BIRD. And there's a youngster who looks like she's already in the Dugout Club.
And she's ready for an autograph, too, as a Sharpie.
Gausman gets ahead of Mercer with a breaking ball. Mercer was at bat when Harrison was caught trying to steal to end the second.
A great pitch right there from Kevin Gausman. Bottom of the order, they're looking to ambush. Kevin Gausman, a fastball pitcher. Starting him off with a breaking ball. Good job.
J.J. Hardy gets Mercer, who hustled down the line, so a 2-pitch out.
So it's nice to see Kevin starting to mix it up a little bit more. A lot of pitchers. This is about the time where you'll see their slider start being used more off the fastball, the changeup or split finger. And Kevin's starting to mix in his breaking ball more consistently after first couple starts really establishing the fastball, finding the location with the heater, and going to work with the secondary pitches, which we know come up so big for Kevin Gausman, because it seems like when he gets hit, he doesn't have the breaking ball command, the secondary command, and they just start getting on his fastball. And I think any hitter can really has the ability to time up a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. You can put in a wrinkle and get it in the back of a hitter's head. That's when you're going to be at the advantage.
Ahead of Nicasio 0-2 and a 3-pitch strikeout. So Gausman, who began last inning with a 10-pitch at-bat to Polanco, has 2 outs on 5 pitches.
Well, this is what we're talking about, elevation, riding the top of the zone. And it isn't a belt-high fastball at the top of the zone. It's up and out of the strike zone. Hitters get a good look at that pitch. And if you can keep it on the plate, their eyes get big. Many times they'll be aggressive on that. Kevin Gausman looking to record some outs with weaker pop-ups or a lot of swing-throughs like the last one.
There's another breaking ball, and Jaso fouls it off. John Jaso now 32 years old. Had another injury-plagued season with Tampa Bay last year. He got most of his at-bats last year as a DH with the Rays. And Gausman gets ahead 0-2.
Yeah, always known as a great hitter, on-base percentage guy. Trying to find him a position, and they feel that he'll be able to work out okay at first base for this team.
And a 3-pitch strikeout. What an inning for Kevin Gausman. 8 pitches, and he retires the side. 3 up, 3 down. He's got it working today. Mid-third in Sarasota, O's and Bucks. No score. Well, you can create new Birdland memories by hosting your next group outing this summer at Oriole Park with discounted tickets for groups as small as 15 guests and party facilities that fit up to 1,000 fans. Oriole Park can make your next group outing an experience you'll never forget. Plus, group leaders can earn a variety of incentives, including the opportunity to throw out the ceremonial first pitch. To learn more, visit Orioles.com/groups or call 888-848-BIRD. Fans enjoying the lovely weather today. Very muggy in Sarasota today. The weather report on the local news last night, Mike, they were flipping out because there was fog coming in.
Yeah, I see.
And it was going to be damp.
Yeah, exactly. The humidity. She's got her little pigtails up. I had to put my hair up as well because if your hair's down, you know, it really gets hot, sweaty.
I saw you grabbing the hairspray. Here's Jonathan Scope, who is having an outstanding spring. Choose that one foul. John is leading the Orioles with 12 base hits in his 11 games. And I think the other thing, Mike, that they like, he only has struck out twice. He's really learning to look over pitches.
He sure is. I mean, incredible numbers last season. Every at-bat Jonathan Scope gets at the major league level, he's going to improve. You know, I think the year he spent with Nelson Cruz really made an impact on him. Nelson was great for both Manny Machado and Jonathan Scope as far as recognizing pitches, understanding what pitchers are trying to do to hitters. We haven't seen him offer too many sliders in the dirt like he was his first year, which is expected for a young hitter. But he's showing a lot more patience, a lot more maturity at the plate.
And a 3-pitch strikeout. Something off speed that moved away from the swing, so that is already 5 strikeouts for Juan Nicasio.
Well, the hard slider cutter here, staying on the same plane. A little dip at the end there. Yeah, hard slider, well located, outside corner. Picked up a strikeout earlier in the ball game. Starts it on the outside edge, throws it hard enough where it doesn't appear like it's going to have enough break, but a good finish.
There's Caleb Joseph, who was batting ninth. And Nicasio gets a hit 0-1. Caleb has a couple of hits in the spring. He's 2 for 18. One of those hits a double. And with Matt resting the sore elbows, getting more at bats now.
Nice group of catchers in camp this year. Of course, led by Caleb Joseph. And then Pena's in camp with a strong arm. Audrey Perez. Very high energy, great arm catcher. And a couple of the younger ones, Jonah Heim and Cisco, who I believe were just sent out. But they made some pretty good impressions, I believe, on John Russell and the rest of the coaching staff. I mentioned John Russell because he is the catching coach.
Yep. Well, there was that one year where they drafted 3 catchers in the same draft with Jonah Heim and Chance Cisco and Alex Murphy, who's out of Calvert Hall. And I noticed Steve Molesky on MASNsports.com posted today's the first day for minor league games. And Alex Murphy is playing at first base.
Oh, boy.
So it could be that the Orioles looking to move around. Maybe they're thin in the lower minors at certain positions. So use your depth and versatility. 2-2 on Caleb. Fights off the breaking ball.
Well, I think it's important for all players, unless they're a superstar and maybe known for just one position, they move well enough, but to learn other positions, because sometimes the opportunities might not be there at first base or left field. You know, find a place. And typically, most baseball players are just that. They're baseball players. You can put them anywhere, and they'll be able to make those adjustments. The Orioles have had to do that here in spring training with Christian Walker, first baseman, out to left field.
You know, you look at that. He's blocked by Chris Davis, who just signed a 7-year deal. And the guy coming behind him, Trey Mancini, was the minor league player of the year last year. So the Orioles know he can hit, so why not find a spot for him?
Absolutely. Manny Machado, shortstop.
Christian Walker leads the team in the spring with 8 RBIs.
Yeah.
So he's doing what he has to do. Real good at bat here for Caleb Joseph. Keeps spoiling some good pitches. He's about to see the 8th pitch in this at bat.
Well, Caleb, mid-season form here, staying nice and quiet in the batter's box. A lot of movement, especially head movement, so seeing the ball well, letting it travel, and he's waiting out his good pitch, fouling off some tough ones right now.
Manny Machado will bat next. 1 out, nobody on. And he got him. Breaking ball in the outside corner. So back-to-back Ks. That is 6 strikeouts in this game for Nicasio.
That slider seems to be his go-to out pitch. 3 on this slider here, and he locates it very well right on the outside corner. I'm sure Caleb will have a talk with Sam Holbrook, the home plate umpire. And he goes back thinking that slider might have been just off that outside corner.
He has averaged in his career about 7.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, so he definitely has the strikeout pitch. And Manny checks and takes low.
There you go. Got the power arm, striking out 4 of the last 5 hitters. Mixing it up pretty well. Kind of spray painting that fastball all over the zone, though.
And Manny Machado gets the Orioles' first base hit. A 2-out single here in the 3rd. Manny picks up his 8th base hit. You know, you were talking earlier about the Orioles looking to use the whole field. And in batting practice today, it was kind of fun to watch. Manny and Jonathan Scope are always in the same group. They're very good friends. And they were having a competition hitting the ball to right field. And they had it down to the point where they were challenging each other to hit the scoreboard in right center field. Now, that's not easy to do, even in batting practice. Both of them, during that BP session, hit the scoreboard.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, they are a couple strong young players, but it's nice to see them challenging each other. And I think they both realize that they're at their best when they can shoot towards right center field. And they'll make the adjustments, react to pitches inside. Manny, the best young hitters in the game today. See hitting coach Scott Coolbaugh giving Jonathan Scope a little bit of love and probably talking about driving the ball off the scoreboard. Letting it travel a little bit. Trust those hands.
Well, Coolbaugh likes his young hitters to look fastball, of course, until you have 2 strikes, and then you have to protect. And Scope, in his first at-bat in which he struck out, he did not see a fastball.
Well, most good hitters hit off the fastball anyway. They're always prepared to hit a fastball, but Scott Coolbaugh's probably telling these guys, if the guy's throwing a get-me-over breaking ball, be ready to hammer that, because curveballs go a long way, too. And we've seen Kevin Gausman flip a couple breaking balls in for first pitch strikes in this ball game already. And a lot of pitchers like to do that because they think hitters are just going to step back and watch the breaking ball go and won't offer at it until they get 2 strikes. Well, it's a good pitch to ambush if you understand who you're facing.
Manny was running, then he slipped, and he's able to get back. Now that's being alert. If you slip, just like if you hesitate, go back to the base.
Yeah, Manny off and running, slipping in the dirt, a little hesitation, and Cervelli recognizing that, and he makes the off-balance throw. See Manny go, but not the right step. Good job getting back, sliding to the outside corner, the back outside corner of first base there to make Jaso force him to make the longer tag.
Ball on a strike on Alvarez, who was out trying to bunt his first at-bat. And a good take. Buck was mentioning that they may send Pedro over to the minor league camp over at Twin Lakes so he can get more at-bats, although tomorrow there's a split squad game, so he'll be needed here in one of the games, either in Fort Myers against Boston or here tomorrow night against Minnesota.
Well, Pedro looks good. He looks good in the field. He looks good at the plate. I think every hitter would like to get about 50 or so at bats under their belt in spring training to really kind of lock it in. But he came in ready to go. He's kept himself in shape. He's taken his batting practice and appears like he hasn't missed much of a beat. He's stepping in the box, driving the ball all over the place.
Oh, it was pretty amazing. He showed up last Wednesday and he was in a game by Sunday.
Yeah. I think most players would like to do that. Just get going. You know, anxious to get going. Now, he's got a lot to learn as well defensively. If he's going to be, you know, potentially playing first base and third base, Buck Showalter has different defensive schemes.
Manny runs, but Alvarez strikes out, and that ends the inning. 3 strikeouts in the inning and 7 in the game for Nicasio. We are through 3. The pitcher's in command, no score. Kevin Gausman has his game going. He has faced just one over the minimum through 3 innings. And he has struck out 3 of the last 4 batters, so 3 Ks in the game. And, Mike, how about this, the 2012 draft? There were some heavy hitters early on in this draft.
Boy, I'll say Carlos Correa, reigning Rookie of the Year, and now looks like he's going to be a perennial MVP candidate. Byron Buxton, he's come through, and they realized that he could be a superstar as well with the Twins. They sent Aaron Hicks on his way. Mike Zunino, big-time power hitter, obviously, with the Mariners for his batting average, but to go up. But Kevin Gausman, he's on the scene now, just waiting on Kyle Zimmer to make his way through with the Royals.
Yeah, he's on the 40-man with Kansas City, and he's in the big league camp. Kevin Gausman now his 4th season in the pros. His debut in Toronto in May of 2013. Here's Cervelli, and an off-speed pitch for a strike. Francisco bounced out to Hardy his first at-bat. One guy you don't want to hit the ball to. All reliable out there at short.
Yeah, you might as well just make a right turn if you hit it to Hardy.
Just down and in.
Cervelli, pretty impressive year last year for the Pirates. He's been a frontline catcher, and the Pirates bring him over and say, okay, you're going to be our starting guy. And not only did he perform well, but very well. Just a monster year for the Pirates, and somebody that they need. I mean, they needed a catcher to really take charge and be a leader, and he stepped up and had a super year.
Well, when Russell Martin left and went to the Blue Jays, they needed to replace him, and the Yankees signed Brian McCann to that big contract, so he was available, and they made the deal. Gausman falls behind 3-1 as he works here in the 4th inning. And there's a leadoff walk. So the first walk allowed by Kevin Gausman. There's allowed 3 base runners on a single, an error, and now a walk.
Not a bad pitch from Kevin Gausman. If you want to miss, that's a good spot. Down and away. Maybe just off the outside corner there.
And here is Andrew McCutchen, the superstar of the Pirates, now 28 years old. From Lakeland, Florida, where former Orioles Steve Pearce also hailed from. Breaking ball, and that's gone. That one hung, and McCutchen didn't miss it. Over the pavilion in the picnic area in left field. And it's a 2-0 Pirates lead. The second spring home run.
Well, we were just talking about the get me over breaking ball. Some hitters, they look for that pitch. And it seemed like McCutchen was sitting all over that breaking ball. And take a look here. Yeah, he was just waiting on that. I think he made up his mind he was going to be looking for breaking ball. He got it, and he did not miss it. That's one thing to think about, looking for one, but to actually square it up and hit it 450 feet is another thing.
Starling Marte takes outside. No activity as of yet in the bullpen, so Kevin's not yet at his pitch count for today as they continue to stretch out the starters. J.J. Hardy. And one away. Marte's 0 for 2.
So that's the A spot with your fastball, down and away. And he just missed with a couple pitches earlier in this inning, just missing with Cervelli. Missed with Marte on the first pitch, but right back to it. You see the results. Very hard for a hitter to drive that pitch. Even it down in the zone, probably get a lot more ground balls. And when you have a defense like the Orioles D, the infield, that's what you want. More ground balls, better.
Here's Gregory Polanco, who flied out to right his first at-bat. And Babel Gausman in a 10-pitch at-bat. Center field, that'll fall. Adam Jones will get it back in. So there's a single. And 3 of the 4 hitters have reached in this inning.
See Kevin, his pitch count up to 50 right now, but very efficient aside from the second inning. He had to throw 21 pitches.
Yeah, and he faced only 3 batters because of the 10-pitch at-bat to Polanco.
Yeah, that extended. That's the first hitter of that inning. You gotta like the way he's throwing right now, though. Real aggressive with the heater, throwing strikes. He hasn't made a lot of mistakes with his pitches. Even that last pitch, it was a base hit. So pick off attempt there was a changeup down at the bottom of the zone. Sometimes you just got to tip your hat. There's a nice lean there and a quick snap throw, maybe on the inside part of first base, and he gets him.
Harrison reached on an error his first at-bat, and that one is a foul ball. Caleb played it anyway, didn't hear that. Home plate umpire Sam Holbrook said foul ball.
Well, you have to do that. I mean, just keep playing it. You never know. That was a great play by Caleb Joseph, bouncing out of there. Awesome pitch as well. Exploding fastball riding up and in. Little jam shot. Caleb pouncing on it like a cat.
I'm glad Kevin ducked.
Yeah.
That ball was it right by his head. Well, 0-1 on Harrison. 1 out, 1 on. 2-0 Pirates on the McCutchen home run. Polanco shortened his lead.
Well, the Orioles have been very good at controlling running game since Buck Showalter showed up. Obviously, he really made stress the importance of pitchers being quicker to home. A lot of stolen bases on Matt Waiter's Gold Glove catcher because the pitchers' times were so slow. Well, they've sped up.
Long run out there for Adam Jones, and it bounces past him. Heading to third is Polanco. He'll be held there by Rick Sofield, the third base coach. And a double for Josh Harrison. And the third hit in the inning. And it's second and third, only 1 out.
This Pirates lineup, pretty good hitters here, and Harrison stays on the changeup down in the zone. Pretty good piece of hitting right there to drive it deep in the left center field gap. And Harrison kind of hindered last year. The numbers weren't quite there because he was battling a thumb injury all year long. Well, this year healthy, and it showed on that swing. And these are the type of tests that Buck Showalter likes to see. Challenging situation here with runners at second and third and 1 out. How does Kevin Gausman handle himself in this situation?
Rose will pull the infield in to try to cut off the run. Old Figueroa up. That ball's ripped to right field. Trumbo over and makes the catch. Tagging from third is Polanco. He'll score. It's a 3-run inning, 3-0 lead for the Pirates.
A nice running play there by Trumbo, and one of the first fastballs we've seen not hit the location that Kevin Gausman wanted. Stayed up in the zone, out over the plate. Roa got an A swing on it, but Trumbo, great first step. And that angle, Wayne Kirby was talking about it when we interviewed him back in the second inning. This ball is smoked, but you better be on it. A little bit of a misread on the first step, but makes the nice adjustment and gets there quickly. The big guy, he runs pretty good. About 6'5", 6'6".
2 down now, and on the play, Harrison tagged and went to third. As Jordy Mercer takes outside. Dylan Bundy now getting loose in the bullpen. This is low with the off-speed pitch, so 2-0 to count.
So this is one of the innings that, pitchers aren't used to getting to in spring training. So getting extended now, your body's going to respond a different way, even though it appears that Kevin was on pretty much cruise control through this game. Roughed up a little bit here in this inning. Is it because he's finally reached a point where he hasn't reached this spring? You know, so you battle through that, try to figure some things out.
This ball is trouble. Adam Jones, though, gets in on it and makes the catch, and the inning ends. So Gausman gets through 4, 3-run inning for the Pirates. Mid-4th at Sarasota. Bucks lead it by 3.
There's a lot to see at Nissan now. It's only gonna get better.
Well, don't forget, after every Sunday home game this year, your kids' big league dreams can come true. All the fans 14 and under can run the bases. So make every Sunday family day at Oriole Park as you enjoy a great afternoon of baseball, capped off with the memory of your children running the same base paths as their favorite birds. So don't miss Kids Run the Bases Day every Sunday home game throughout 2016. For your tickets, plan ahead, Orioles.com, or call 888-848-BIRD. Maybe that youngster will get a chance.
He wants a foul ball. Dave Wallace talking things over with Kevin Gausman. Possibly about pitch selection, maybe location.
Well, he was able to get out of the inning. Get through 4. And Nicasio, he has been outstanding here through 3 innings.
Yeah, pretty impressive. Just the 1 base hit. 7 punch outs. Good live fastball. He's a big kid. A lot of arms and legs coming at you.
Adam Jones will lead off. Davis and Trumbo will follow. An off-speed pitch for a strike. Now the Pirates are the closest team to the Orioles. They're in Bradenton, which is the next town north. And the ballparks are about 12 miles apart. And I noticed, Mike, that the Pirates, they had to have taken batting practice in Bradenton because they weren't here on the field. They showed up, they threw the ball around a little bit and said, let's play ball.
Yeah, which is nice. And I think that's an ideal situation. If you can keep your team together, get your fundamentals in, work as a team, and then go play the ball game, that is the perfect situation. Here in Florida, it makes it hard because you have to get on a bus, drive an hour and a half. So you don't get that work as a team that most managers crave.
Jones behind 1 and 2, and it's upstairs. That's why a lot of the teams on this side on the coast are hoping the Atlanta Braves do in fact move. They're going into their last year in Disney next year. And there's a lot of talk on this side that somewhere around Venice, which is south of Sarasota, but still in the county, that the Braves might get a new facility there. That would help out the Orioles tremendously.
Sure would.
Another team they could add that's closer. And Adam Jones down on strike. 8 strikeouts for Nicasio.
Well, we've seen the slider come up big for his strikeout pitch. And Adam Jones had a steady dose here in this at-bat. And all quality, well located. Kept him away from the big guy's barrel. Down in the zone. A couple of them running off the plate. Another strikeout for Nicasio.
Chris Davis hit by a pitch in the second. And the shift is on. You see the third baseman over on the second base side. Paul Figueroa moves over. Mercer stays at shortstop.
So when we talk about hitters, you know, showing a bunt, especially all the Orioles power hitters, it's these type of situations. Now, obviously, anytime you step into the box, if you're a home run hitter, you want to hit a long ball. You're down by 3 runs, middle of the ball game. It's an ideal situation. I'm talking in season. Maybe not here in spring training, because Chris Davis needs to find his stroke before he finds his bunt. You know what I mean? So, but in season, this is what players need to be aware of. Okay, you got to put a mark on the board. You cannot let this game get out of reach. Middle of the ball game. So the thought process, you know, this is what Scott Coolbaugh, Buck Showalter are trying to encourage this powerhouse offense to do. Understand what's going on around them in the situation of ball games. Because if Chris Davis gets on right here, say Trumbo hits a 2-run shot, or you put pressure on Nicasio, get him out of the ball game, get to the bullpen. A lot of things can come into play with an executed bunt on a shift.
Taken all the way on 3-0. Yeah, the more men you get on base, which is why they're talking about improved on-base percentage. There's more on base if those long balls go out. And this year, those long balls will go out. 3-2 on the swing and a miss. Davis asked Holbrook if that was a strike he swung at. Strike 3 call. Davis thought he had ball 4 and he's rung up.
Well, he hit the same spot, but that one, I even think the one that Davis swung at was just off the outside corner. Take a look here. Cervelli setting up off the plate. Good to be ball there.
Now, what did we decide? Did he frame it or present it? What are we going with?
Well, I guess he must have presented it well.
9 strikeouts for Nicasio, 2 outs and nobody on for Trumbo. You know, a fastball for a strike at the knees. Trumbo doesn't like the call. As he slumps the shoulders. The Orioles have had only 2 base runners off Nicasio. Davis hit by a pitch and the Manny single with 2 down. That came in the 3rd inning.
Well, Nicasio, he must be really thinking about that 5th starter spot. Ryan, is it Vogelsong? He's still kind of coming back from injury, so there still may be a possibility. They just keep extending him through.
Check swing and he went too far. Pitch in the dirt. So Trumbo has struck out twice. 10 strikeouts for Nicasio through 4 innings. We head to the 5th. Bundy's coming on. 3-0 Pittsburgh. The 3-run 4th inning, a 3-0 lead. As Kevin Gausman's day has come to an end, and overall pretty successful. I'm sure he'd like to have the home run ball back, but he stretched it out over 4 innings.
Yeah, I like the way Kevin Gausman threw the baseball today. Did a good job mixing up his pitches. Loved his fastball. Some of the pitches that got hit. Let's see. McCutchen hit the breaking ball. Harrison hit a changeup. So fastball's there. Fastball looks good. He's keeping it down in the zone. He rode a couple to the top of the zone, and the secondary pitches are just going to get better. Well, he gives way to Dylan Bundy. You see his numbers last season in Double-A. Bowie, only 8 starts. Of course, he's mired with some arm problems. So it's good that he's healthy and ready to go here in spring training. Still trying to find that form. 4 innings of work. He's scattered 5 hits and 3 earned runs here this spring. But he will be a part of the Orioles bullpen.
Matt Joyce is pinch hitting for the pitcher Nicasio, and Bundy gets ahead of him. Matt Joyce, one-time Tampa Bay Ray. So he and Jaso reuniting in Pittsburgh. And it's 0-2. Bundy last worked on Sunday against Minnesota. He had a scoreless inning. He's having a real good camp.
Yeah, he is. He's got a good look in his eye, and I think it's another comfort issue with him as well. He's been around these guys for a number of years now. His arm feels good.
And didn't mean to swing, but he fouls it off, so the count holds it 0-2. And, of course, with Bundy, he has to make the team. He's out of options. So this is working out very nicely for the Orioles that he looks so good in a year where he has to go north with the team.
Yeah, and his velocity is slowly climbing and climbing. Working 94, 95 right now.
First came the Tommy John surgery, then with the shoulder issues and some forearm issues, but he is healthy. Breaking ball lifted to center. Jones broke back, but now will come in on it. And Adam with the running grab, so 1 away.
Some nice closing speed right there from Adam Jones. And when Kirby was talking about how hard it is here with the wind and the sun, the elements, that wind keeps pushing the baseball back to the infield. And Adam Jones this spring has had to make a lot of long runs, make plays behind the infielders. And there you see the kind of ability he has. I mean, he's a big guy, and he turns it up, finds that other gear. Wayne Kirby, this will happen all year long. Wayne Kirby and Adam Jones going at it back and forth.
Well, Adam was saying before the game that it is very difficult playing center field in these day games in Florida because of the background. And if you look at the press area here in Sarasota, the facade is white. This one hit into the shift. Scope with the charge will get his man and 2 men down. So you have a white facade behind home plate for the press level, and then most of the people are wearing some kind of light clothing in the stands, and there's no upper deck to help you with the dimensions.
Yeah, very tough.
So see, here's what Adam's looking at. There's a lot of white, a lot of light colors there, plus the glare in the sunshine. As he said, these high skies are very tough. Now, the one thing here, at least the seats are green, so there's some contrast there. Cervelli takes inside with a fastball. That one 95.
And I think that one surprised Cervelli a little bit. Let's get that arm stab, and then quick arm at the top. Coming out of there hot.
Now, if Bundy did have options, he likely would go back to the minors this year as a starter to begin to get that pitch count up, because his future is as a starter. This ball's tagged to right center field, long way out there. And that ball's going to bounce up against the fence. Cervelli's going to cruise into second with a 2-out double. You see the Orioles are doing that with Jason Garcia, who's the Rule 5 player from last year. He now has options, so he has been sent down already, and he's going to be in the Bay Sox rotation.
And take a look, just a matter of a couple inches. Caleb Joseph setting up down and away. He has to slide the glove back on the plate. Way too much white there. Even with a good fastball, 94 miles an hour, it's on the plate. And Cervelli doesn't miss it, driving it to the right center gap. It's on that edge. Not the same results. Maybe a broken bat, maybe even a taken pitch for a strike. Big league hitters, they know the strike zone, and they know when a baseball is on the white.
There's Andrew McCutchen, who's got a good day going. McCutchen had 3 hits in his first 7 games, and he's 2 for 2 today with a single and a 2-run homer. Kevin Gausman still watching from the bench.
I'm talking about that breaking ball he threw to McCutchen.
Bundy gets a fastball by him, 1-1. Zach Britton, by the way, was sent over to the minor league camp today. Now, don't get alarmed. There's a plan here. He was starting one of the games so he could pitch 2 innings. They wanted to stretch him out and get his pitch count elevated. And all the reporters, especially Rock Kabaka and Steve Molesky on MASNsports.com, because of Buck's statement yesterday that there is competition for the 5 starting spots. Fancy Britton starting game in the minor. Right. Wait a minute. No. He's the closer. He's just looking to stretch his arm out.
Yeah, Zach's having a great spring.
Well, Rock and Steve went out of their way to make sure they wrote that. How about that? Pulls a fastball by him at 95, so a 2-out double, but 1 left. An impressive inning for Dylan Bundy. Well, into the bottom of the 5th, O's come to bat, down by 3. A 3-0 game as the O's come to bat in the 5th. The Casio's day is done, and the O's are not too upset about that. Here's Jared Hughes, who replaces him.
Jared Hughes, a very strong season last year. Through the 76 games, picked up 3 wins, 2.28 earned run average. He has got the bowling ball sinker. Pirates have brought in sinker ballers, really been kind of the philosophy of their pitching staff because they've had such a great defense, and Hughes has been one of the mainstays.
So 5th inning, a 3-0 lead for the Pirates. Kevin Gausman had a good outing today, and he joins us now from out beyond the Orioles bullpen. Kevin, what'd you think? 4 strong innings.
I felt pretty good. Got a little tired that last inning. That's why he's on the cover of a video game. He hits those pitches that are mistakes. So, he hit that a long ways, and threw some good pitches today. Though threw some good breaking balls early in the count, and also some fastballs up. So, just trying to get my work in.
So the fastball command seems to be a key this spring. It's been great driving the ball downhill, working the bottom. But you mentioned the fastball up. Is that going to be more of a weapon?
Yeah, I really started using it last season. I felt like throwing up with my velocity. I felt like I was able to kind of get the ball by guys at times, and I really started doing it in 2014 out of the bullpen. I noticed guys kind of trying to cheat on fastballs down and away. So that fastball up middle, I felt like I could kind of get it by him. So I think that's going to be a huge pitch for me.
So Kevin, this was your 3rd appearance, 2nd in an A game. You had the 1B game. What was the goal today? Was it 4 innings, or was there a pitch number you were looking to reach?
It was more 4 innings. I just wanted to get through 4 innings. I got through 3 in that B game, like you said. But, nothing compares to an actual spring training game. So, to get out there and get through 4, even struggling that last inning, I only threw 17 pitches that last inning. So, even if you give up runs, if you can keep that pitch count down, it's only going to help you.
And Kim serves it the other way and off the glove of Jordy Mercer. That should be a base hit for Kim. He nearly ran into John Jaso. So as each start now comes, as you get closer and closer to the end of camp, you'll be looking at what, an inning at a time, or will that be determined by how many pitches they want you to throw?
It'll probably be by pitches. You know, you want to get to innings, but some innings are tougher, and you know, some innings you're going to throw 30 pitches. So those things you can't really take into consideration until, you know, you get to that point. So it's more about getting to, you know, I think our last start here is usually about 75, 80 pitches, and then we go into the season and kind of go from there. So, you know, hopefully, you know, we just continue to get our work in, and, you know, I know we're all ready to get the season started.
Hey, Kev, so you got to explain to me this, because we hear pitchers talk about they come to spring training, they want to make sure they get their work in. And I understand that, you know, you're starting to throw more breaking balls in your secondary pitches here this time out. But when you take the bump for the first time, are you still going out there to compete and win? Are all those competitive juices flowing, or are you just thinking about getting your work in?
You know, a little bit of both. There's certain situations that in games I wouldn't necessarily throw. You know, for instance, I haven't even started throwing my split change yet, which is one of my best pitches. So, you know, I'm just trying to kind of not start throwing that until probably next week, just so I can get those reps that I would normally get with my other secondary pitches. So it was really just kind of focusing on that. You know, I threw a 3-2 changeup today, 3-2 first pitch of the at-bat changeups. You know, those are things that, for me personally, I know are going to kind of take my game to the next level. So, you know, for me, I know that guys know I throw hard, so they're going to be cheating, looking for a pitch that's fat down the middle that's hard. So if I can kind of keep them guessing, then I think it'll help me, definitely.
Kevin, along those lines, as Mike alluded to, getting your work in for the start of the season. Now, this spring is a little different for you. You know, you're in the rotation. You have one of those spots. So what's your mindset been knowing that as you came here?
Yeah, you know, it's a little different. Definitely feel a lot more comfortable. You know, this is my 4th spring training, I believe. So, you know, I think, and I noticed it more just being around the guys. I feel more comfortable. I can be myself. You know, when you first come into big league camp, it's kind of like you're the young guy. You kind of keep your mouth shut and don't really say too much. So, you know, I feel very comfortable. But, you know, as a starting pitcher, I feel, you know, like you said, I feel like I'm one of those 5 guys. So it's good to know what I'm going to be doing the whole season. And, you know, my best year in pro ball was 2014, and I was starting the whole year. So that's really something that I'm looking forward to, you know, taking the ball every 5th day. And you know, I feel like a big goal of mine is to just make every start. You know, if I can make 30 to 32 and hopefully even more starts than that, I feel very confident that I can throw a lot of innings and help this team win.
Well, it's been said you're about to take it to the next level as Scope hits it out. That one rockets out of here, and we are tied at 3.
Big surprise.
Jonathan Scope now with 8 RBIs to tie Christian Walker for the team lead, and we are tied at 3 here in the 5th.
Where are those runs when you were out there, Kevin? Right?
Hey, as long as we win, I don't care.
There you go. Good answer.
Well, Kevin, we appreciate the visit. Keep it going. A real good spring so far, and you can tell with your body language that you're getting ready sooner than later. So we appreciate you stopping by, and best of luck to you.
All right, thanks for having me, guys.
All right, that's Kevin Gausman. Jonathan Scope rudely interrupted with a 3-run homer. Man, that was a line shot that just kept going.
Yeah. A great swing by Jonathan Scope here. Now, when you face a sinker baller, the key is elevate him. Well, Scope elevated him enough. Look at that one, about thigh high, and he stays through it. Gets out in about 2 seconds.
So his 13th hit, that leads the team as 8 RBIs, ties Christian Walker for the team lead. And it ties the game at 3. So Jared Hughes, 3 batters and 3 runs. Caleb Joseph now. Jared Hughes has pitched in 246 games in the big leagues, and he has never made a start. He has been a reliever since he showed up. Now in his 6th season.
Yeah, he's a ground ball specialist. I mean, they bring him in situations to get a double play because of that pitch there. The power sinker, typically will keep it down there. knees are lower, and guys just beat the ball into the ground. He said his percentage is up over 65% ground ball rate.
2-2 to Joseph is foul back. It's up on the roof. Jared Hughes, now 30 years old. He was the Pirates' 4th-round pick back in 06. Came through their system and now his 6th season with the big club. Weak ground ball towards short. Mercer will get it to first and 1 away. There was that bowling ball sinker you were talking about.
Yeah, good hands back there. Mercer, great defender at shortstop.
So the lineup turns over. Manny Machado will get his 3rd at bat. Manny 1 out of 2 with a single his last at bat. Manny 23. He doesn't turn 24 until July. Scope has already turned 24, so he's the elder of the two. The good friends.
I think they learn from each other as well. Don't see that happen too often with Manny Machado. Out of control swing. Typically great base, so his legs stay underneath him. Limited head movement, and he probably has about as good a bat path as you're going to see from a young player.
It's amazing that he is not yet 24. Jonathan just turned 24. And Manny is already in his 5th season with the Orioles. There was the partial year when he came up in 2012. And he's down on strikes when Bobby Dickerson was down at Bowie teaching him how to play third base with the assistance of Mike Bordick. Jonathan Scope, every time Manny joined him on a team, John wasn't the shortstop anymore.
Yeah, they tried to keep them together, short and second. But hey, whatever it takes, find the spot. Manny made the move and now has become the best third baseman in the game. Jonathan Scope looking to become the best second baseman. A lot of talk about this being a breakout year for Jonathan Scope. A couple setbacks last season with some injuries, but he's looking good this spring.
When they were young in the Orioles system, there was a season at Delmarva where Jonathan Scope played third, Manny played short, and Michael Givens was the second baseman. That was when they still had high hopes that Givens would make it as a position player. Now, of course, he's one of the Orioles' up-and-coming relievers. But they all had real good arms as defenders, and still do. Alvarez to center field. McCutchen is there. And he's got it. So Hughes gets out of it without any further damage, but Jonathan Scope with his 2nd spring home run, a line shot to left, has tied the game. 3-3 game as we go to the 6th inning. As the Orioles tie it on a 3-run home run. And on Sunday, our next massive telecast, this young man will be joining us. Brian Roberts is here today learning from the master, Mike Borick. Are you getting excited for your television debut?
I am. I'm looking forward to it. You know, it's been fun to hang out with you guys today and see how the pros really do it.
All right. All right, now what is the transition going to be like when players first come up here? They still think of themselves as they would as players. Now, have you thought about that? You know, how you're going to react and what you're going to say?
I know I do not think of myself as a player anymore. I can promise you that. I think of myself as a fan and as you know, as someone who certainly respects what those guys are doing out there, because I did have the opportunity to do it, but I don't think of myself as a player anymore.
Well, you should, because got to critique these guys.
I think of myself as an ex-player. How's that?
You didn't want to take BP today?
Oh, man. You know what? I was talking to J.J. Hardy, and he said, goodness, this team has so much thunder in their bat. And I said, I didn't like taking BP before when we didn't have any thump in our lineup. I wouldn't want to take BP with these guys.
Yeah, they sure do put on a show. Now, when you make the transition to broadcasting, what will you be looking for? What insight are you going to bring Sunday?
Well, you know, I think you try to bring as much perspective to the fan as you can from an ex-player standpoint of why do these things happen and what makes this guy so good at what he does and what is so difficult about what these guys do on a daily basis. So I think trying to put that sort of stuff into perspective and give the casual fans maybe an insight that they have never heard before when it comes to that.
You know, there are a lot of things that go on in the spring. For instance, Mark Trumbo was telling me by the batting cage during BP that he has been working on keeping his head still during the at-bats. And it might not sound like a lot, but if your head's moving, right, it's more difficult to hit.
The more your head moves, the harder it is to hit. You only want one thing moving while you're hitting, and that's that baseball. The rest of the stuff you want to keep as quiet as possible. But it was, you know, I was out there with you today during batting practice watching Scopey and Manny have their little competition of hitting balls off the scoreboard. And I had a lot of baseball envy watching it, that's for sure, because that was never a game that Bordy and I played too often, I don't think. We played the ground ball to short game. You know, so it's really just impressive to watch these young guys and what they're capable of doing. And it's great to be out on the field again and see that.
You know, and Kevin Gausman was just saying how he remembers his first camp where he just tried not to say anything to lay low. I remember your first camp at Fort Lauderdale where you followed Jeff Conine everywhere he went to make sure you didn't do anything wrong.
I was carrying his bag. He didn't want me to follow him. He just made me carry his bats everywhere, you know. But the guy next to me, I followed him a lot, and I watched him a lot. I watched him go about his business at shortstop, because at the time I was playing shortstop. As JJ, another great shortstop, makes a phenomenal play down the left field line. That's not an easy play to make, is it, Bordy?
No, it's not, especially with two other guys converging on you.
That's right. But I had an opportunity to watch Mike go about his business, and that's something that I think a lot of these young guys have had the opportunity to do with Scopey and Machado. Watch the way JJ does it at shortstop and takes care of every ground ball during BP and those sorts of things. So I was blessed with a lot of really good veterans to be around.
So two quick outs by Bundy, who's in for a second inning. And here's Josh Harrison, who has reached twice, once on an error, once on a double. And the pitch is upstairs. Breaking ball.
Looks like Dylan's flipping up more breaking balls here this time out as well. And this is, as we mentioned earlier, this is the time of spring training where you really have to start working on those secondary pitches. Try to get those ironed down. You hope the fastball command and location is right where you want it.
I know it's exciting for Orioles fans as well as myself, having been around Dylan quite a bit through his injury process, to see him out there on the mound again and pitching, and hopefully in Baltimore this year and contributing to this team, because I know it means so much to him. He works so hard, and he's had some real ups and downs through the process, but it's great to see him out there.
And it's good for him that when he's asked by reporters by his locker, they're asking about how do you pitch. You're not asking how's your injury, how's your rehab going. It's all about baseball.
We always enjoy those questions a lot more. That's for sure.
Two quick outs by Bundy. And this one should be playable. Davis at foul ground. Dylan, get out of there. And Davis has it. Well, B-Rob, it's great to see you. Thanks for stopping by. I'm looking forward to your debut. You and I will be together on Sunday, and we'll see you then. Thanks so much.
Can't wait.
invite you to join us on Sunday for more O's action from spring training. The Birds will welcome in the Rays right here to Ed Smith Stadium. Our coverage, our next Masson telecast will begin at 1 p.m. And Brian Roberts makes his Masson debut on Sunday. Be sure to log on to MassonSports.com all spring long for daily news and notes from Orioles spring training. And today you're getting the Major League coverage from Rock Kabatko. And the minor league coverage from Steve Valesky is over at Twin Lakes. And there's a new pitcher coming on.
Archimedes Caminero coming into the ball game. You see 73 games for the Bucks last season, picking up 5 wins, 3.62 earned run average, 73 punch-outs in 74 2/3 innings. Big arm he possesses. Rush that fastball there to mid to high 90s. And he will be a big part of this bullpen.
Here's Adam Jones leading off. First ball swinging, the topper to third. Tough play off the glove of Figueroa. And Adams going to reach. He tried to lay it and hope it stuck in the glove, but it went off the webbing.
Yeah, a lot of times third baseman, it's all about the angles you take, and you better be committed if you're coming in for the shortstop. There, got himself in between and just could not make the adjustment to come up with the ball.
Alan Hansen is now in at second base, replacing Josh Harrison. And they have given Adam Jones a bad bounce single. And that ball put in play. Chris Davis now, he's been hit by a pitch, and he has struck out. And the foul back to the left. Looked like Chris was trying to go to left field.
Yeah, it did look like he was pulling the hands inside. And that fastball get in that inner third. About 96 miles an hour.
Throw back to first, chasing Adam. Archimedes Caminero, 28 years old. He was acquired by the Pirates from the Marlins February of 2015, so his second season with the Bucks. Good looking pitch there for a strike, and it's 0-2. He got into 73 games for the Pirates last year. I think he was their Brad Brock. He won 5 games out of the bullpen last year.
Yeah.
Upstairs with a fastball.
So another big guy, a lot of arms and legs coming at you. He just cuts it loose with the heater. Backdoor slider a couple pitches prior, though, to Chris Davis, but better be ready to hit the heat.
96, but upstairs, count evens 2-2. Chris is still trying to find that timing. He is 3 for 22 at the plate. And he's down on strikes. And Caminero picks up the K and 1 away.
Cut fastball slider here, 91 miles an hour, but it didn't run the other way. Kind of cut in under the hands of Chris Davis. And he swings right over the top. It's a pretty nice swing there from Chris. Just better action on the pitch.
Here's Mark Trumbo. He has struck out twice. Pirate pitching is now 12 strikeouts in this game, 10 by the starter Nicasio. Trumbo has 8 base hits. This is his 10th game appearance in the spring. And fouls it all straight down at the plate. Fastball.
Well, Trumbo's making some very big impressions here in the Orioles organization as far as his work ethic. He was in the clubhouse. Obviously, what he can do skill-wise on the baseball field. Talk about how far he hits the baseball. Very strong arm. Great athlete for a big man. But always in the batting cage. Always trying to fine-tune his swing. Find ways to make himself better.
He is already a very popular teammate with the Orioles in their clubhouse. He's always available. He's always sitting by his locker. He's become a favorite of the beat reporters and has blended in very nicely with his teammates. Throw behind Jones, and Adam dives back in. And for Trumbo, who's in his free agent year, he could become a free agent at the end of the year. There's got to be something to being wanted by a contender. I mean, the Orioles felt that his bat would help them get to where they want to go.
Well, that's the goal for every player. You want to be looked at as a winning player, somebody that can help your team get over the top. And the Orioles looking to add to their offense and feel that Trumbo's versatile enough to where he can move around, maybe in the outfield. I know he's out in right field, but potentially left field and first base, which he's talked about as being his best position on the field. So other options there for Buck Showalter.
Yeah, when he was acquired, that was before Chris Davis came to terms on his deal, so there was insurance there for a power-hitting first baseman if Davis didn't come back. And now Davis is back, so they have both. And Trumbo has slid into the right field spot with Pedro Alvarez now the main DH. And a pitch down and in, swing and a miss. Trumbo, the pitch before, was right on that 97-mile-an-hour fastball, but he fouled it straight back. And here's the strikeout pitch.
Yeah, this is ridiculous movement he gets on the pitch, and I think that's what Trumbo was saying. Where did that baseball go? It was 90 miles an hour. Might have been his version of the changeup, but it ran maybe 2 feet down and in to Trumbo. Another strikeout. This Orioles offense.
Hyun-Soo Kim has singled in 2 trips. Ducks out of the way of that 96-mile-an-hour fastball, and a modified shift on Kim with the shortstop Mercer shading up the middle. Foul straight down at the plate. That time it looked like his front foot really came out.
Well, I think that's his changeup. May have gotten him out on his front foot a little bit, but I think there are times that he really tries to turn it up. Kim, I'm talking about offensively. The fastball gets on him a little bit. He thinks he has to do a little bit more with his body, unfortunately. And that's when you see those swings kind of get out of control. And it happens with every hitter, not just somebody new to the big leagues here. A lot of hitters, they just get amped up and geared up to try to hit a fastball, and that's the beauty of the game. The pitcher's supposed to see that, recognize that, or a catcher, and you go to the off speed and get a hitter out in front. That's exactly what they did on the second pitch.
Adam moves up to second on the wild pitch charge to Caminero. So a 2-out base hit can get the Orioles the lead. 1-2 on Kim. Pretty good cut there. Fouls it straight back in the netting.
Now, I would venture to guess that he probably didn't see a 97-mile-an-hour fastball in the league he played in last year.
Ground ball towards the hole. Diving play made by Figueroa. Knocks it down. That saves a run for the moment, and Kim has his second base hit.
There you go.
That was a real good at-bat.
Yeah, get it going there. And that's really all you can ask. Better at bats, see more pitches, and good things will start to happen. Now, Kim has made a lot of hard outs. Many hitting ball right at guys on the field. So it's good to see some of these fall in for knocks. It'll help his confidence tremendously.
And it gets J.J. Hardy up first and third and 2 down. J.J. looks really good at the plate down here. In particular, how he is taking pitches. 20 official at-bats now. He is 7 for 20, and he's also walked twice. As the shoulder, the left shoulder's healthy now. He rehabbed it all winter, strengthened it. And the left shoulder is so key for a right-handed batter.
Yeah, he hasn't held back at all this spring. I mean, he is leading by example right now. When Buck calls for the drills, he's bouncing around here like a kid, you know. And I think he just feels good. He's, you know, probably the most tenured Oriole now. He has over 10 years in major leagues. He's had his at-bats. He knows the game inside and out. Really good.
Left center field. He got a lot of it. Back it goes, and it bounces over the wall for a ground rule double. Jones will score. Kim will be held at third. And J.J. Hardy with a big two-out base hit has given the Orioles the lead.
J.J. works a good at-bat into a great at-bat. He's driving the ball in the left center field gap. And when J.J. doesn't feel hindered by his body, he has the ability to pull outside pitches. And he wants to turn and burn and see him reach out. Now, that is not a bad fastball. That's on the outside corner, and he's able to get the barrel on the ball and drive it into the left center field gap. That is such a positive sign for J.J. Hardy and the Orioles.
Ozzie Martinez, who has come up for this game today. He'll pinch run at second base for J.J. and take over at shortstop. Well, Kim made it to third. He would have scored if the ball stayed in the ballpark, but it just did get over the fence. Does Bobby Dickerson speak Korean?
No.
We were just laughing.
Well, smiles work in any language. And there's Jonathan Scope's home run swing. Short to the ball. Very tough pitch to stay through and keep fair. And you see how Jonathan Scope approached that. He did not get around the baseball at all. He got his bat head to the ball and then stayed through it, keeping it fair and getting out of this yard in a hurry.
Two in scoring position for Scope. Bouncer towards short. Mercer gets a big hop. And fires across to get Scope to end the inning. But a productive inning for the O's. Back-to-back two-out base hits lead to a run. We're through 6. 4-3 O's. Having fun here at Ed Smith Stadium on a beautiful day for baseball, which is somewhat redundant because it seems to be Beautiful day every day. And T.J. McFarland back on the mound, Mike, for the first time since March the 6th.
Yeah, good to see him back out here. T.J.'s been gnawing at the bit. See his numbers from last season, the 30 games, couple wins, 4.91 earned run average. One of Buck Showalter's favorite pitchers because of his versatility. Thinks he's going to be a big-time starter at the major league level one day. But right now he can spot start, match up against lefties. Great sinker ball pitcher, and just keeps learning and getting better every year.
L.J. Hose is now in left field for Kim. Joey Rickard is in center field for Jones. And Dario Alvarez is in right field for Trumbo. There's a strike on the corner. Michael Almanzar up from the minor league camp is at third. Ozzie Martinez is now at shortstop. Steve Tollefson is at second base. And Christian Walker is at first base now. So Caleb Joseph, the only defender still in the game, as he needs to get one more plate appearances. Buck likes to get the starters. There's Christian. 3 at-bats before they come out of the game. And 3-1 the count. There was a sore elbow for McFarland, but he's back. Strike at the knees, 3-2.
Looks good with the velocity, 93-mile-an-hour heater there. And TJ, what's impressive about TJ is he gets another ground ball.
Ozzie Martinez scooped up by Christian Walker. And one away here as Figueroa is out. Well, opening day at Birdland now less than 3 weeks away, so get ready now for the upcoming season. Secure your spot with an Orioles full or partial season plan. Season plan members enjoy exclusive ticket savings, MLB's most flexible exchange policy, priority access to postseason games, plus access to tickets for Orioles opening day. Don't miss an inning of the excitement this season. Visit Orioles.com/season or call 888-848-BIRD.
Now, TJ is one of the pitchers you see every day. He's out running, trying to get himself better, in shape. The art of running, I think, from pitching standpoint, has kind of been lost. It seemed like, I know you've seen pitchers that just nonstop running poles. That's what they do to get in shape and build their endurance. And TJ's kind of cut out of that old school. He likes to get out there and run around. He's coming to camp in great shape. Pitching coach Dave Wallace and Dom Cheedy close attention here to T.J. McFarland.
Last foul off the end of the bat. Well, with Brian Mattis still on the sidelines, although he is getting closer and closer to getting back at it. They are hoping that Brian will be back on a mound, hopefully by this weekend. Pops it up right side. Tollefson and Walker. And Walker calls, and he's got it for the out. So 2 quick outs. So Bundy had a real good outing. 2 scoreless innings. He allowed just the 2-out double in the 5th. 3 up, 3 down in the 6th. So the combination of Bundy and McFarland has now retired 6 in a row. And so McFarland back in action today. Brian Mattis hopefully on a mound this weekend, and Jimmy Paredes is said to be doing better with the bad wrist.
Yeah, he's out there throwing, so his arm strength is there. He's keeping his legs strong. Now it's just a matter of getting that left wrist loose enough and strong enough to where he can grip a bat and put a glove on and start doing some more baseball activities.
And a fly ball to center field off the bat of Alan Hansen. And Joey Rickard has it. How about that inning? T.J. McFarland, 3 up, 3 down. 7th inning stretch in Sarasota. 4-3 Birds. copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Baltimore Orioles and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Baltimore Orioles. Well, home half of the seventh, the Orioles with a 4-3 lead, 3 in the fifth. On a Scope home run and defensive changes, Jake Gobert is now in left field. There's Danny Ortiz in center field. Caleb Joseph comes to bat. First ball swinging towards the hole. And the new shortstop Florimon boots it. And Caleb Joseph is going to reach. There's one-time Oriole Michael Morse in right field. Juan Diaz is now at third. Pedro Florimon booted that ball, but it's ruled an infield hit. Jason Rogers is now at first base. Elias Diaz is now catching, and J.J. Hardy joins us, who got that base hit to drive in the go-ahead run. J.J., a two-hit day. Is the timing starting to come together for you?
It's starting to. It's every day. I feel like I'm, just trying to get those consistent at-bats. And, towards the end of spring, we got a lot of home games, and we're going to be able to do that. But right now, it's been a struggle to stay consistent.
Well, you had to put a great swing on that double into the gap, J.J., and that was a fastball away. It seems like...
Was it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, see, I don't even know.
Well, I'm telling you right now, it was on the outside corner, so you got to feel good about that, right? Driving the ball, pulling to the left center.
I do. I feel like I made some adjustments today, and, something feels good, then I'm going to stick with it and keep working on that, and that's kind of what I'm searching for right now.
Well, how about defensively? The team, it's hard to kind of pull everybody together in spring training, especially how demanding the spring training schedule has been. Is everybody still, upbeat and feeling good about the defense and spring training?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I feel like, there's a lot of confidence in this clubhouse, and we all know what we're capable of. And obviously the record hasn't shown here in spring training, but we all feel good, and we're where we need to be come April 4th.
So right now you're about midway through the game portion, and I know you say you're working on your timing, but does it come a time where you feel like, okay, let's head north and start playing these games that count?
Yeah, it's always like that. I mean, it seems like spring training is long every year, but right about now is that time that everyone's starting to get that itch and get up north.
And there's some optimism with this team in particular because of the power up and down the lineup. This team is going to score a lot of runs this year. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, it's a lot easier said than done, but we're definitely capable of it for sure.
How you feeling about the youngsters to your left and right this spring?
God, they're always fighting. They're always fighting. Should have seen them the other day. We had cameras on the field. Fans were in there, and they're wrestling out in center field. I'm like, oh, my God.
That is a fun BP group you have, though. How did you end up in that group?
The power group.
The power group.
Yeah, the power group. It's the power group because of me. And then CD also a little bit. Scope's got a little bit of power, and Manny also. So we just call it power group.
Now, how come you didn't join in on Manny and Scope's competition? Who could hit the scoreboard in right center field?
Yeah, those games, those are for the younger guys.
Silly game.
Silly game.
Well, JJ, a great day at the plate today. 2 hits, including the RBI to get the O's the lead. We appreciate the visit. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
It's JJ Hardy. He's in a good mood today.
Yeah, he is. I'm telling you, every day, man, he's got a great attitude. He feels good about this season, and I mean, it's exciting because this team has been together. They've made it to the postseason, and they are hungry to get back there and go further. And it's really exciting, and it's great to see the veterans that fired up about it.
Well, yeah, after winning 96 games in the division in 2014, falling back to 81-81 last year, disappointment for a lot of these players. As Alvarez swings through it.
Yeah, it was a disappointing team. I think this team has raised the bar for themselves. So, yeah, they're frustrated about that. They're not happy with, finishing 500. Yeah, on paper, they're considered a winning team, but they can do a lot better than that.
Pedro Alvarez down in the count 0-2. High fly ball to right. He got under it. Michael Morse is out there. And he's got it for the out. Tagging and heading to third is Caleb. The throw is cut off by the shortstop. So Caleb Joseph staying in to run the bases. So first and third.
Well, that's a nice job by Caleb Joseph. A real good read right there and a pretty good cut defensively as well. I'll take a look. Caleb Joseph on the run. If this ball doesn't get cut, look at how far up the line at third base it goes, and potentially the Orioles could have runners at second and third. So nice cut by Mercer. See, Morris didn't like that throw at all. Arm didn't like it.
Yeah, he doesn't look comfortable at all after that throw. Here's Christian Walker, his first at-bat. He's having an outstanding spring. You see his year last year with AAA Norfolk, 18 home runs. Rickard is chased back. He got on a walk. Walker 7 for 26. That's a .269 average. But he now he's tied for the team lead with 2 home runs. Scope now has 2 home runs. Adam Jones has 2 home runs. And he's tied with Scope with 8 RBIs in the spring.
Well, I think one thing that hitting coach Scott Coolbaugh looks at, especially when he checks out younger hitters, how does he evaluate a young hitter? It isn't because he hits home runs or, you know, his batting average is really high in spring training. Are his at-bats quality at-bats? Is he giving away at-bats? Is he understanding what a pitcher is trying to do, understand the situation around him? Well, it seems like every AB puts a quality swing on a pitch.
This one is deep to left field at the wall, and that ball is gone. Christian Walker has done it again. Buck Showalter says he sniffs RBIs. He just drove in 3, and it is 7-3 Orioles.
Every at-bat, he's going to put an A swing on a pitch. Squared up a lot of balls with spring training. And he's really starting to open some eyes.
So Walker now with 11 spring RBIs. That was a moonshot.
Yes, it was. And using the elements to his advantage there. But he got it on the good part of the bat.
Pitching change here in Sarasota. Orioles batting in the 7th, now with a 7-3 lead. Christian Walker is doing exactly what you want a prospect to do, put up numbers as he hits it out. 3rd home run, leads the team. 11 RBIs, leads the team. And here's Jim Fuller coming on to work in the 7th.
Yeah, Fuller working in minor leagues last year at 32 games, came with 3 wins with a 4.40 earned run average. Been in 4 games this spring for the Pirates, and done a pretty good job himself.
Dario Alvarez for his first at-bat. He is in Chris Davis's spot. This guy to center field that chases Ortiz. He'll get there. And 2 men down. And Alvarez retired for the second out. And Steve Tollefson now will get his first at-bat.
And Tollefson struggled with some injuries last year with the Toronto Blue Jays, but coming into camp healthy. Had a slow start to spring training, but he's got his swing now.
This ball down the line towards the corner, and that is a fair ball, and it bounces up into the crowd for a ground rule double. And Tollefson gets a 2-out base hit.
Well, Steve Tollefson known for his ability to get on a fastball. You cannot get a fastball by Tollefson. His bat path is too short. And there you go, proof in the pudding. Getting my fastball and raking it right down the left field line. Last game he played at a home run on inside fastball, so good things starting to happen for Tollefson.
L.J. Hose getting his first at-bat. He's in Kim's spot. This is the time in camp, in particular with the minor league games beginning today. Buck Showalter has asked Daly about when are the next round of cuts, when are the next round of cuts, and it looks like the next round probably will be Friday because they have that split squad game tomorrow, so they're going to need extra players having 2 games in one day. Because the innings are going away for the pitchers. The regulars want more at-bats. And the players who are not going to be on the Orioles need to get ready for their season.
Yeah, they need to get their at-bats. I think most of the young players that came over here just learned a tremendous amount because, as you know, Kevin Gausman, some of the younger players alluded to, the veterans on this team are incredible. They welcome players that come over from another team, other countries, and you know they're open-armed, and they kind of make it obvious right away that, hey, we're not going to give anybody a hard time. We want you to make yourself the best player possible because we want to make it to the postseason. And if you can't do it, and if you can't follow what we're doing by this work that we're showing you by example, then you probably don't belong in this organization. So the veterans are making a huge impression on some of the younger players that have come over here to big league camp.
Well, and L.J. Hose is very close with Adam Jones, and I doubt it's a coincidence that in the Orioles clubhouse their lockers are next to each other.
Yeah, LJ's familiar with the Orioles, and Orioles certainly familiar with LJ. Spent some time last couple years with the Houston Astros.
And foul back to stay alive. LJ is 3 for 19 in his spring at-bats. He does have 1 RBI. One of what will be a plethora of outfielders on that Norfolk team this year. Especially if they go through with the experiment, which it looks like they're going to, putting Christian Walker in left field.
Maybe one of the outfielders might want to learn how to play an infield position.
or learn how to hit like Christian Walker's been doing.
There you go.
Hose puts it in play off the glove of the third baseman Diaz, and coming in to score is Tollefson. That should be a bat ball base hit.
Now, second hop that usually catches the dirt in late inning games. Now, even a little earlier, it's been so windy. The field dries up. When it hits the dirt, it is gone. Super ball bounce. You have got to stay aggressive on a fast infield like this. So unpredictable. The ball catches that dirt, so it's always forward, forward, forward. Try to get the hop before it gets you.
Ozzie Martinez for his first at-bat. He pinch ran for Hardy in the 6th inning. And then he pops it up. Shallow center field. There's Ortiz, and he's got it for the out. The Orioles had 4 runs, 3 coming in on 1 swing off the bat of Christian Walker. who leads the O's in spring RBIs with 11. Well, Buck on the bench, Pedro Alvarez there. And here is the lightning arm of Tanner Scott.
Yeah, Tanner Scott, you see his numbers last year in the minor leagues, 18 games, 4 wins, 3.83 earned run average, 60 punch outs, 22 walks, and 42 and a third innings of work. Well, Tanner Scott has made an impression this spring. Every opportunity he gets, he opens everyone's eyes with his electric fastball. Hit 100 a couple times, but works around 97, 98. Very easy delivery, and his fastball explodes on hitters. His last appearance with the Orioles in a relief spot, faced 3 batters. All 3 went down on strikeouts.
He'll face Jason Rogers. There's Francisco Pena takes over for Caleb Joseph. Well, he's not loose yet. That was only 97. And down and in.
So when you see a big arm like this, and you know, kind of going under the radar, he's been in low A and trying to work his way up through the ranks in the minor leagues. Your eyes light up because there aren't too many people that possess arms.
Ozzie Martinez tried to backhand it and handcuffed him, and then he couldn't pull it in. So there's an error on Ozzie Martinez.
And Ozzie known for the great hands at shortstop. Kind of lets that ball get on him. A little worm burner. That unpredictable dirt, and then there's no handle on that baseball, Ozzie.
The leadoff base runner, Elias Diaz, will bat for the first time. He's in Cervelli's spot.
So you find the big arm, but then you have to make sure he can throw strikes. So he was inconsistent when he started pitching. He slowly started to find the strike zone and got more consistency. And last time he came out, he was all over the strike zone. We'll see how he responds if the command isn't quite there. Can he make an adjustment? Get back into throwing strikes. Find a way to get hitters out. He isn't able to throw the 98-mile-an-hour fastball over the plate.
He's 21 years old, won't turn 22 until July. Diaz couldn't get around on 98.
And he's the type of pitcher that it doesn't look very deceptive, but it's such a smooth delivery. Just kind of lays that arm back there.
Well, he had 60 strikeouts and 42 1/3 minor league innings last year. Ooh, close pitch.
He's just missed with a couple fastballs inside.
12.8 strikeouts per 9 innings for Scott last year at Aberdeen and Delmarva combined. And a high fastball, and he walked him.
So let's take a look at Tanner Scott's delivery. Talk about the smooth, easy motions. Got the leg kick, lays the arm back, and then the arm speed's incredible when it reaches that apex right up above his head. It just comes flying through there, and that ball must feel like a ping pong ball in his hand as it just explodes off the fingers. And that smooth delivery adds the deception to the hitter, and they just get surprised. It's a surprise attack fastball that just gets on them, and many times you see some funny swings. Wonder where the heck did that pitch go?
Danny Ortiz takes ball 1. His first at bat. He is in McCutcheon's spot. And 2 on with none out.
So that's just about making up your mind that this is going to be a strike. And he let it fly. That pitch that he just fouled off was worse than the fastball before as far as location, but he was aggressive on it. So you see what the power fastball does to hitters. They're just guessing strike and letting it fly.
It looked like a breaking ball there. Something off speed, and he had Danny Ortiz well out in front.
Yeah, a little slider. Good to show that. Especially if you can throw for strikes.
And the 1-2 just did get a piece. He walked 22 batters last year in his minor league innings. So that's an average of 4.7. So that's the number that will have to come down.
Absolutely.
One and 2 on Danny Ortiz. Pirates batting in the 8th. That ball's hit the center field. Joey Rickard on the run, and he runs it down. Oh, does he get a good jump?
And he plays as comfortable and confident out there in the outfield as you'll see an outfielder play. I mean, this ball's scorched, and it is cutting away from him with the wind blowing out. And a great jump. He has long strides. It makes it look pretty darn easy. Plants that backside and gets the ball in. Nobody able to advance.
Well, 1 down. And here's Jake Gobert batting for the first time. He is in Marte's spot in left field. Upstairs with a breaking ball. Tanner Scott is out of Ohio. He went to Howard College in Texas. That's where the Orioles drafted him a couple of years ago in 2014. And then a little bit low. 3-0.
Really, this is the kind of stuff that Buck Showalter wanted to see. Okay, it's kind of easy to go in there and blow 3 guys away, 1 up, 1, 2, 3. But when the pressure's on, it's getting later in a ball game. You got runners on base. You don't have your command. What are you going to do out there? And he's not expecting Tanner Scott to be perfect. He wants him to learn through successes and failures, and you need that at any level. And this is a type of situation, okay? Because he's all of a sudden now, you know, they're paying attention to him a little bit more. He's over here at Big League Camp more often than he probably thought. It's a great learning experience for him. It will make him better.
So Dave Wallace out for a chat. There's 17 pitches, only 6 strikes. There should be 2 outs. The error by Martinez to the first batter cost Tanner Scott a base runner. And here is Michael Morse, the one-time Oriole, in his first at-bat. Upstairs with a fastball at 98.
Michael Morris stepping back thinking, ooh, a little firmer than it looks from the on-deck circle.
On the right field line towards the corner. And that is a foul ball near the Orioles bullpen. Pedro Beato is getting loose. Michael Morse last year held to 5 home runs. Bases loaded with 1 down. A little bit low. Tanner Scott in each of his 2 pro seasons played short season. And there's a strike. When he was drafted and signed in 2014, he reported to Gulf Coast and appeared in 10 games, made 8 starts. Then last year, when the season began, he stayed down here at extended spring training and then was sent to Aberdeen when the Ironbirds got going in June. And he struck him out. There's a big bounce back there. 2 men down.
Yeah, that's nasty. That's some nasty life at the bottom of the zone. 98 miles an hour. A little bit of a tail as well. Don't really see that down at the bottom. It's by Morris. Big second out.
Here's Buck out to make a pitching change. And Pedro Beato will come on to try to get this final out. Buck made him laugh, so Tanner Scott leaves. Beato comes on in the 8th. Baseball is live with the MLB.com at-bat app. You can stay connected all spring long with radio broadcasts, video highlights, stats, news, and more. Download the MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone and tablet.
Yeah, Pedro Beato coming in now. 2015, he was spent the whole year with Norfolk and had a dominant season. 2.65 earned run average, scattering the 66 hits and 74 2/3, 61 punch outs, 25 walks. Big league time with some experience there.
And here is Josh Bell. This is the pitcher's spot. They made the double switch when Hansen entered the game, so Hansen is in the number 9 spot, so Bell comes off the bench to pinch hit for the pitcher Fuller.
Pedro's had a great spring. 4 games. Hasn't given up an earned run yet.
Buck Showalter really likes him. He loves his demeanor on the mound and the fact that he pounds the zone. He attacks the hitters. Of course, he was a first-round pick of the Orioles back in 2006, and then he was lost to the Mets in for the 2011 season in the Rule 5 draft. He's moved around a little bit since then. A lot of sync on that. 1 and 2. He's been with the Orioles, then the Mets, went to Boston, Cincinnati, Atlanta, and now back with the O's. 302 minor league games over his 10 seasons. The 1 and 2 with the bases loaded, 2 men down. And he doesn't chase the breaking ball.
Oh, nice try there. He's mixing up his pitches very well. This is a big-time situation for Pedro, even though a spring training game. And you chalk it up to bases loaded. Something happens here. Pirates get a little bit closer, so you want to have your best stuff. And this is where you really dig deep and show what you're all about. You compete. You come up with excuses. You challenge a hitter. And Buck pays attention to every situation that a pitcher is put in, whether it's a veteran pitcher or a young pitcher.
Bell battling here. He just did get a piece of that pitch to foul it off. Cued foul.
A real good pitch there, just dying right at the plate. Nice job by Bell to keep this at bat going. Pedro making some quality pitches here.
Line drive right to Tollison at second base. So Beato does the job, and the bases are left loaded. Mid-8th in Sarasota, the Birds with the lead. Have scored in each of their last 3 at-bats and have an 8-3 lead. And let's head out to the Orioles bullpen now. Welcome in Caleb Joseph. There he is, looking cool in those sunglasses. And Caleb, let's start with Kevin Gausman. What'd you think?
thought Kevin was great. Minus the curveball to catch there for the home run. I thought he did a really good job of getting inside, pitching inside, working his changeup. I know we really stuck with fastball, curveball, changeup today. I thought he did a really good job of really working all those 3 pitches in and throwing a lot of quality pitches.
All right, how about Caleb Joseph? How'd you feel behind the plate today?
I felt great. Anytime, you have a pitcher up there that is locating and hitting the spots, you feel amazing. And, to be able to throw a guy out, that was really good. I thought Dylan threw the ball pretty good, too. I mean, it was a pretty nice day at work, nice and easy. They were right around my glove, so that's always great.
There was the one play where you thought the ball was fair, the tapper, and you fired to second, and you cringed. Were you afraid you were going to hit Gausman?
Yeah, you're playing the game and you have those instinct plays, and then you let the ball go and you realize, oh no, you just kind of keep playing and you let the umpire kind of dictate what's going on after. You want to be reactive, you want to be proactive there. So, but it was a close play, and I was hoping he was maybe going to call it fair so that we could have maybe gotten a double play there.
Now, how are you feeling as your game comes along for the season? With Matt sideline now, you're getting more at-bats, more plate appearances. Are you feeling it come together?
Yeah, I was just telling some of the pitching coaches, I said, today felt right. Something about just the way the tempo of the game was and kind of getting into the position of spring where you're starting to be a little bit more competitive with your pitches. You're not necessarily working on certain things as much, whereas first couple starts with these starters and the pitchers, you're really working on kind of what they're trying to work on. Now you kind of get a little bit more in a competitive mode. And so being able to do that and feel like you contribute with the fingers behind the plate helps a lot. And then just getting, a few more at-bats more regularly, like you were saying earlier, Jim, you start to feel that timing come back and you start to feel like, okay, I'm getting into more of a routine offensively.
How do you feel the catching has worked out this spring? And I'm not talking about catching innings. So I'm talking about the depth of the catching. It seems like John Russell, Buck, Dan Duquette brought in a nice group of catchers to this camp.
Yeah, we've got, the youngsters that aren't here with us anymore. They did a great job. Chance Cisco, Jonah Heim, they really showed well this spring. They really improved with what they were doing. We're excited about their growth within the organization and what they're doing. And then, we've got Audrey Perez. Audrey has a great reputation of being a really good catcher, and so far what we've seen is he's solid back there. Francisco Pena, the son of Mr. Pena over there with the Yankees, he's got a wealth of knowledge too, and Francisco's extremely engaged with kind of what's going on. He told me 2 rings. I said, you got a ring, this guy's got a World Series ring, and he reminded me that he had 2 rings. I'm not sure if one was an ALCS from last year, but he has been a part of those Kansas City teams, and he knows winning culture, and he's a good catch and throw guy as well. There's a lot of depth, but I think ultimately we want Matt back. Nothing against the other guys, but we're hoping Matt gets back as soon as possible.
All right, final question, Caleb. You talked about, the fingers behind the plate and calling pitches. Where does it get to the point in the spring games where the pitchers are no longer just working on stuff, but they're using their repertoires as they will in the regular season?
It depends on each pitcher, but I feel like today Gausman was, even though he didn't throw any splits, I felt like it was more of competing versus, here's a fastball away in a 2-0 count. Well, no, today we may have thrown a changeup in a 2-0 count to a dangerous hitter. And I think right when you get around the fourth and fifth start, in my experiences, I've seen a lot of guys really amp it up and start getting more game-like because after 3 starts, they've felt like they've worked on their pitches enough where it's time to kind of get into more of a game scenario mode. So we'll see. Hopefully I'm right, otherwise I'll look like an idiot.
By the way, how's the baby eating?
Oh, he's eating great. Eating too much. We can't keep the cupboard full. We look forward to Monday meal money every Monday because this kid's eating his heart out. He's doing great. He's getting big. We're trying to think of something new for this year, but we'll have to keep brainstorming here. We'll see.
All right. Well, Caleb, we really appreciate the visit. Keep it going to camp. A real good camp for you, and it's great to see. Thanks so much.
All right, Jim. Mike, take it easy now.
That's Caleb Joseph. Everybody's in a good mood today that comes on the show.
I'll tell you what, when there's good pitching and great hitting, I think everybody's going to be happy. Today, Orioles bats break out, long balls. Saw some real good pitching from some young arms that the Orioles are counting on this season. It's a lot to feel good about today.
Joey Rickard is up and fouls it back. He worked a walk his first plate appearance in the 7th inning, came on the score. This young man has really opened eyes in camp. He's the Rule 5 player, so he must make the team or be offered back to Tampa Bay. And the way he can play defense on a team where the manager demands excellent defense, he is fitting right in.
Well, and offensively, he's no slouch either. I mean, uses the whole field, puts together quality at bats every time he steps in there.
That ball is crushed to left center field. Going back on it is Gobert, and that ball is gone. Joey Rickert joins the hit parade. That is the Orioles' 3rd home run in the game, and it's now 9-3. So his first home run, but it's his 11th base hit in the spring.
Yeah, and he's hitting balls all over the place. I mean, he is an unpredictable hitter from the sense that how do you defend him? How do you pitch him? I mean, he'll cut a ball over to right field, or he'll turn on a pitch. Pretty impressive stuff this spring training.
So the Orioles have driven in 7 runs with the 3 home runs. Here's Xavier Avery pinch hitting for Pedro Alvarez.
Let's take a look at Joey's swing. Getting on a fastball, staying short. You see that good weight transfer, hard off the front side, and showing the power he has. Now, I don't know that anybody thought about power when Joey Rickert came into camp, but boy, that ball got out of here in a hurry.
Xavier couldn't check in time. They got into some games with the Orioles back in 2012. Back with the organization which drafted him out of high school in Georgia. Last year he signed with the Tigers and then was released from their AAA team on July 1st. He signed with San Francisco July 3rd, was released 3 weeks later, and then signed with Minnesota and closed out the year with Rochester in Minnesota's AAA club, and then came back to the O's as a free agent in December. He was traded to Seattle for the man who was in right field today for the Pirates. August 30th, 2013, Michael Morse became an Oriole and Xavier Avery went to Seattle. Now here they are competing against each other. Xavier back with his team and Michael Morse now a Pirate.
I will say this, Xavier's come a long way when he first signed with the Orioles. He's having himself a really good spring. Having some pretty good at bats.
And then he's down on strikes. Ball was dropped by Diaz, and he'll fire to first. So the inning ends, but the Orioles get another run as Joey Rickert gets in the one. Hits it out to deep left center field. We'll head to the 9th. The Birds have the 6-run lead. They head to the 9th. The Orioles ahead 9-3 using the long ball today. 7 of the 9 runs driven in on 3 home runs. Birds at 1 point trail 3-0 in this game, but it comes storming back. And Pedro Beato stays on the mound. Facing Juan Diaz to begin the inning. Diaz at third base. He's in Cole Figueroa's spot. His first at bat.
Vieto's just got to pound the strike zone here in the 9th inning. Nothing drive a manager crazier than a pitcher that comes in a comfortable lead and just can't find the strike zone. So stay aggressive. Trying to do too much.
Well, he did get the final out of the 8th to strand the bases loaded. You can see how the innings are starting to stretch. The Orioles had 5 relievers listed to pitch in this game following Gausman, but because Kevin was successful in getting his 4 innings in, we have not seen Oliver Drake and we have not seen Dale Thayer. They were both listed as pitching in this game. Bundy got in, McFarland got in, Scott got in, although he wasn't scheduled to pitch, and now Beato. The Orioles brought over 6 players from the minor league camp for this game. Line drive, there's a base hit over the head of Almanzar. LJ Hose will play it back in, a leadoff single in the 9th.
Pretty nice piece of hitting right there by Diaz. Fastball away. Much like a pitcher not trying to do too much. Neither did Diaz. Stayed on the fastball away and slaps it to left field for the base hit.
Pedro Florman, one-time Oriole farmhand, now with the Pirates. You know, the thing about this Orioles team, we expect because of past production that this team is going to hit a lot of home runs, maybe even challenge for the league lead in home runs. And we know the bullpen's going to be good. The bullpen last year won 30 games. They had 30 wins out of the pen, tied for 3rd most in the majors. And their ERA was 3.21. That was 3rd best in the American League. So what it's going to come down to is what we talked about when we started this telecast today. How do the starters do? Do they give them a chance to win with consistency?
No, that's going to be the key. And, you know, if you get starts like Kevin Gausman got today, I think the Orioles will be in great shape. There have been some inconsistencies that we've tried to explain through spring training as far as, you know, first couple weeks, pitchers trying to get their work in. They're working on locating a certain pitch, feeling comfortable throwing certain pitches. And as Caleb Joseph alluded to, now is the time where you're going to start seeing the competitive juices flow, at least hopefully on the mound, and maybe different outcomes from some of the pitchers that, you know, have started off a little bit slower. But there is an understanding, it's no secret at all, that the rotation has got to step up. They need to improve from last year. And, you know, you hope Ubaldo can string together a couple good halves. He had an outstanding first half of last season, and he finished the prior year very well. Have a nice, you know, consistent season from him. And, you know, Tillman, Gonzalez, you're looking for more consistency there as well. Pedro getting the out on the changeup as it floats away.
Well, the starters last year pitched to an ERA of 4.53. That was 14th in the American League. Only the Tigers starters had a higher ERA. And what you look at there, if it's 4.5, your team needs to score 5 to have a chance to win. And it's tough to ask your team every day to go out and get me 5.
Well, it sure is, and it was a setback, I think, just from the expectations that they put themselves in from the year prior. You know, their earned run average was almost a run lower.
Yep.
Or was a run lower the year prior.
Yeah, 2014, the starters combined won 68 games, which was tied for 3rd most in all of Major League Baseball, and their ERA as a staff was 3.61. It's a big, big difference.
Yeah, it sure is. So that is something that they have to attack and address.
And that's why there will always be, I think, competition in that rotation. Some of the young guys that have kind of stepped up here, Tyler Wilson having himself a great spring. Mike Wright's throwing the ball well. So those arms, are being looked at. And of course, we see what happens through the course of the season as far as the revolving door at times in AAA.
Left center field, Joey Rickard covers a lot of ground. He runs it down. Playing it halfway and back to first is Juan Diaz. Well, Buck Showalter made an interesting comment when he met with the media before the game today, when he was asked yet again about what he mentioned yesterday. There is competition for the 5 starting spots in the rotation. He said, as an organization, you have to go north, not with the right 25 players, but the best 25 players. Now, that tells me somebody may win a job here that we didn't even think about, because he's open-minded enough to say, look, we're giving you an opportunity and you seized it, you're coming north with us.
Oh, absolutely. And I think he's not going to give guys those chances that don't have the track records. So he has seen and he's studied all the players here that are in camp, and he puts them in situations to get a better feel if he isn't familiar with what they have done on the field. So it's not going to be just a numbers thing. It's going to be obviously a feel and a past track record. So Buck puts a lot of thought, obviously, into his 25-man roster.
And that statement also suggests that he is far from settled on the right 25, the best 25. Runner goes on 0-2, defensive indifference. So Diaz takes second base. Well, it just goes to show all the depth that Dan Duquette has brought into the organization, how it is paying the dividends. There are legitimate jobs here and players fighting for a spot on that 25-man roster. The 1-2 is upstairs. And you know the infield, first and third, is going to be Davis, Scope, Hardy, and Manning. Adams going to be in center, and Trumbull's going to be in left. And if Matt Wieters isn't back by opening day, he'll be back shortly after that, but you'll have Caleb. So the question is, who's in left field, who's in the rotation, and who are those final 2 bullpen spots?
All right, and the bench.
That's right, in the bench.
You have to believe Ryan Flaherty is a lock there. His experience and having a great spring.
And somebody's got to be a backup catcher if Matt is not back to back up Caleb. As Joey Rickard played his way onto the team as a Rule 5 player with his defensive skills and the bat he has shown. Home run here today. The other thing about Joey Rickard late in the game, he can come off the bench and steal a base for it.
Well, that's what they love about him. That speed, defense, on-base percentage. They love that. Those kind of qualities in a player.
So another 3-2 pitch to Jason Rogers. Popped up foul back of the plate. Pena coming back. And near the screen, it's off the top of the screen. He had the glove ready and the ball bounced the other way. I like how Caleb called Francisco's dad Mr. Pena.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Tony Pena is Francisco's dad. Caught 18 years in the big leagues. At one time, he was a great Pirate, then he was a great Cardinal. His dad won 4 gold gloves in the big leagues as catcher. And the 3-2 to Rogers is bounce foul, so Rogers really battling here.
He doesn't want to end the game. Pedro keeps working. Actually mixing it up through the 3-2 count. A little slider there. So showing the confidence in all of his pitches. Throw it at any time.
This will be the 9th pitch to Rogers in this at-bat. Lifted to left field, chasing L.J. Hose. L.J. gets there and has it for the out, and the Orioles win. So a nice day all around for the O's. The bullpen was fabulous, pitching 5 scoreless innings. The Orioles had the long ball going. hitting 3 home runs, and they scored in their final 4 at-bats. Well, we hope you can join us on Sunday. That'll be our next Orioles telecast from spring training. The Birds will welcome in the Rays to Ed Smith Stadium. Our coverage begins on MASN at 1 o'clock. Brian Roberts will join us for the telecast, making his MASN debut. And now for Mike Bardick and our entire hardworking crew, Jim Hunter saying so long from Sarasota, where the Orioles have won it, beating the Pirates by a final of 9-3. Today's telecast has been a massive presentation. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you back here Sunday from Ed Smith.